of a boundary. At last the time is come, this is a cricketing emergency. Hear this call to arms for every cricket revolutionary. Take up your bats and stumps for the test match insurgency. At first they tried to silence us, but we would not be silenced. They threatened us with lies, so we threatened them with violence. Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket. It's not about the winning, it's about how many rules you break. Even in cricket commentary, this is the best advice to take. Pick guerrilla cricket, it's the finest choice you'll ever make. There's so much more to cricket than red counters and a slice of cake. At first they tried to sanitize us and clean up our act, but people like it filthy, and we know that for a fact. Fidel Castro, Lenny Pascoe, Carlos the Jackal, Umar Akmal, Mahatma Gandhi, Grant and Andy, Brendan Behan, Austin Ian, guerrilla cricket. Stick with us, cause you know we're not the kind of thing that you see on the TV and the radio. So vive la revolution. First they tried to buy us, but we would not be bought. Okay, we were, but then we ran away, and we will not be caught. We would not give up the ghost when they left us all for dead. They decapitated us, but we just grew another head. Chairman Mao, Jamie Howe, Ho Chi Minh, Asif Din, Václav Havel, Graham Saville, No Surrender, Percy Fender, Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket.
We've got clearer skies in Manchester as the northwest swaps weather patterns with the south, but will they be too clear? The gloom is gone, and with it maybe the swing and seam that would have been ideal. But Ben Stokes reminds us that England have options. One of those options is, of course, Dom Bess, and lest we forget, it was Roston Chase, the West Indies off-spinner, who took the 5-4, took advantage of all the earlier hard work done by his seamers and swing bowlers. Good morning, good afternoon, good dawn, good dusk, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Gorilla Hendo, Nigel Henderson, and England need 19 wickets to stay in the series. Can they do it? To discuss such outcomes, I have alongside me, virtually speaking, Annie Chave in Exeter.
Hello.
And the Knuckle Bandy in Sydenham.
Morning, Hendo. Morning, Annie. Hi, everybody. We could be in for a real cracker of a couple of days.
We could be. That's the optimistic view. The pessimistic view from me, of course, is what you expect, is that this could turn into a dull old grind of a test match if England don't get early wickets. But we shall see. Is the lack of gloom a problem for England's swing bowlers at Knuckle?
I don't think necessarily. I mean, we saw on days 1 and 2 that it was sunny-ish at periods, and the ball was swinging throughout for the West Indies, including, I think, the fact that the outfield is so lush and green, and it's still a little bit damp, apparently, right at the edges, so there's almost like a sort of dew factor. I think that has actually helped the ball swing longer. We saw it was the end of day 1 and the start of day 2 that the old ball, and this was long after the new ball was available, the old ball was still swinging orthodox. So I don't think the lack of movement is going to be an issue. Obviously the the footmarks won't be as pronounced as they might be by day 4, but we've already seen the pitch turn and bounce for Chase, and even a little bit for Bess in the brief spell that he was able to bowl late on day 2. I think there's going to be plenty in this pitch, and we've seen that it's not been easy to score quickly on. So I don't think England should be daunted by the prospect of taking 19 wickets in 2 days.
No, absolutely not. And as you rightly said, Sam Curran was getting swing when the sun came out on the evening of the second day. How do West Indies approach this, though, Annie? It's a difficult one for them. They really can't win this game, and they may not even be that bothered. But would that make their mindset a little bit too defensive if they're just playing for that draw?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be very exciting if they did win it, wouldn't it? Well, gosh, what a test match that would be.
They would, they would have to smash 600 in a day and then try and bowl England out for under 150, I suppose.
I think it's really not on the cards, is it? Yeah, I mean, you could see it. There was a little bit of negative bowling, wasn't there, from them? So hopefully we won't see negative batting.
Well, I think
I'd like to see them come out on.
The negative bowling has kept them in the Test match in a sense.
Absolutely.
I think it was almost a masterclass of bowling dry,
of negative bowling.
Yeah, it was really important. I think Ruston Chase did remarkably well to hold West Indies together as the fast bowlers were dropping like flies. Obviously, the follow-on is probably the first port of call, or avoiding the follow-on for first port of call for the West Indies. We did a poll before the start of play, and 67% of our polled said that England will have the chance to enforce the follow-on and will enforce it.
Well, I think England have to enforce it if they get into that fortunate position. Absolutely. Now, I should tell you that at lunch we've got Toby Bradford's batting booth, and the techniques of Annie Chave's son and David Brooke are going to be picked apart by the West Indies former batting coach. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Poor lad.
Poor lad, and he doesn't even know about it, does he? So we shall see. That'll be lots of fun. I'm looking forward to that. Craig Brathwaite and Alzari Joseph are the batsmen overnight, if that makes sense. And they will be jingled up henceforth.
My spelling ain't strong. Can you tell me if I spelled your name all wrong? I wrote it down with a C before. Now is it 2 G's? I wanna be sure. Craig Brathwaite is hard to spell, it's true, but now I've got...
First ball of the morning, it's Chris Wokes to bowl it, coming into Brathwaite. It's full on his leg stump, and he chips that just short of the man at backward square leg, and there is no run.
Should we get a jingle for the first bowler of the morning?
I think so.
He's on Instagram, and he's a Twitter fan. On the Ashes tour, not Ben Stokes, but he'll have to do.
Well, it's a very poor crowd at Old Trafford today. There's absolutely nobody in the ground.
Did you see Nasser Hussain?
I did, yes, ringing the bell to nobody in particular. This again is chipped away into the leg side, a little bit full from Wokes. Good piece of fielding around there by, it was either Sammy Curran or it was Ollie Pope. Yes, it's hard to tell the two children apart, but yes, I think it was Ollie Pope.
Wokes the
there at the short leg.
Yeah, Nasser was ringing the bell with gloves on.
Ah, right.
And trying to G up the crowd.
I'm just thinking, how long ago since someone else touched that bell? I mean, you would hope that any signs of COVID would have departed in the last 4 months.
I think outdoors it would have,
yeah, onto the back foot goes Brathwaite, and in that rather ungainly fashion, he fiddles it out into the offside, and there is no run. 32 for 1 is the score. We're into the 15th over of the innings. Important early blows need to be struck here by England if they are to turn this into a contest. Brathwaite has 6 of those. Joseph was quite the sort of laid-back night watchman, wasn't he, on Friday night, where he played a few shots, went over the top of extra on one occasion. Brathwaite waits again. In comes Wokes, and he goes past his outside edge. This time the little fiddle from Brathwaite wasn't enough to lay bat upon it, and through it goes. Have we got anyone on Twitter, Annie?
Yeah, we have. We've got Martin Lawrence saying good morning,
Morning.
good evening. According to CricViz, England are 57% chance to win. The draw is 43% and West Indies are no percent.
Absolutely nothing. No
No
percent.
percent. Yeah.
I think this time we can probably say they're about right. 3 slips in the gully for Wokes as he comes into Brathwaite again, and Brathwaite once more gets in behind that. Could get himself into trouble, but by being so much in front of his stumps, but he normally gets his back down on those and survives. Stuart Broad is warming up as well. We've got all the headgear out there on the basis that Chris Wokes is on Instagram and he's a Twitter fan. Has his Instagram following gone up since he put on the Alice band? Does anyone know?
I think he's
I
quite.
haven't been following.
I think he is
it, so-
quite.
not?
He is quite active on Instagram. I think.
Oh, is he? Okay, well I'm not, so I don't know. Now he just gets one to nibble away from just back of a length. Brathwaite was almost tempted into playing it, but just snatched it back inside the line at the last moment. That's the end of the first over of the morning. It's a maiden, and we have more tweets, hopefully.
Yeah, Leah Wicketwitch says, good morning, Grillers. If England can't enforce the follow-on, the Windies will surely retain the trophy. I'm also delighted to inform you that I will desecrate a bird for lunch again.
Desecrate a bird, that sounds very worrying.
Yeah. Oh, and George DeBell tells us 7 p.m. cut-off. Thank you,
Why?
George.
Why? I don't understand that. We could go till 7:30. Why 7 o'clock? You've lost a whole day's cricket. It makes no sense. Anyway, it's going to be Stuart Broad to open the attack. And here is his jingle.
What would make Broad walk?
If his stumps were knocked down,
What would make Broad walk?
caught 5 feet off the
What
ground,
would make Broad walk?
if he trod on his
What would
stumps,
make Broad walk?
if God was one of the
What
arms,
would make Broad walk?
Broad walk.
What Broad?
Looking for his first wicket of the summer. Left out, of course, of the first test in Southampton. Who's going to be bowling to Alzari Joseph. He's coming in. I think he's coming in from the... Which end's he coming
Statham.
in from? He's coming in from Brian Statham end. In he comes, bowls, and Joseph wants to have a lot of time to play that. Goes back and guides it away through gully. Rory Burns chases after it, and they come through for single. So Joseph up and running already this morning. First run for the West Indies added to their total. A bit of a breeze in at Old Trafford, as we can see from the England flag that is fluttering at the top of its pole.
Slightly belatedly, let's get a jingle for this most relaxed of night watchmen.
Alzari Joseph. Alzari Joseph. Alzari Joseph.
See that Craig Brathwaite is using one of the bails to mark out his guard. Who used to do that? It was Chandler
Shiv.
Paul, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Shiv. It was also did Graham Thorpe do it. Broad in again, bowls outside the off stump. There is, as we talked great detail about on Friday night, the Steve Smith leave for the first time
It
this
really
morning.
is, isn't it?
It really is.
I was just wondering, do you think we've got the most hair on a pitch since the 1970s?
Most hair on a pitch.
Yeah, you know, hair.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Not on the pitch. Is
Not literally on the pitch. I'd have thought, oh, that's an interesting. I mean, you get the heavy roller and you could get a few strands on a length. It might be quite useful. Broad in again, bowls to Brathwaite. Too wide, moving away a little bit more, but solid too wide. Doesn't have to worry about that. Important that England get their line right this morning in these early stages. Yeah, you would say as well. Talking of that Shiv habit, I mean, and I have seen people do it before in the past, but if I was batting, I would think it was bad luck to take off a bail. I'd just say leave the bails until they're disturbed. Just do not touch those bails. That is just asking for trouble as a batsman, I would say.
Well, obviously he thinks the reverse.
He does, I suppose. I'm a superstitious old pessimist. In comes Broad, bowls awful. Now that's kind of Shannon Gabriel awful. It's a wide that swings further, and Butler goes across, just about lays a hand on it, and they run through for a bye. And they get two for that, then, presumably, don't they? That was terrible. That was well outside.
Wide.
Turn crease.
Does that count as a bye or does that count as two wides?
It's a good question. Who's out there?
It'll be
Oh,
too
Jules
wide,
will be here.
surely.
Jules will be here in a minute, and she is a scorer, so we shall ask her about that.
I'm a scorer too.
Oh,
I
sorry,
would
Annie,
put-
sorry.
That's all right. I'm not as high up as she is. I would put 2 wides for that.
Okay. Broad in again, bowls Joseph in behind that. He wants a single as he just angles it into the offside, but Brathwaite is of more cautious disposition.
I don't
says
think
no.
that the wicket keeper should be penalised for that ball.
No, he shouldn't really, should he? It's a very good point. Sammy Curran is warming up. Does that mean that we're going to see him quite soon? It would seem odd that Chris Wokes has only bowled 1 over. Did he have to finish that over, or was it? No. Of course not.
I suspect Sam Curran might just be warming up in Joe Root's eye line.
It could be that, couldn't it? But Joseph, 15 off 20 balls, standing up straight, bat aloft, waits for Broad in, and he drives it very pleasantly into the onside. Certainly get 1, might even think about a couple. This time it is Sammy Curran, revealed by the left-handed throw back into the wicketkeeper. And Joseph, run a ball, Joseph almost, 16 off 21, West Indies 36 for 1. They trail by 433. So England need to get them out for under 269 to be able to enforce the follow-on. And Joe Root looks deep in thought at the moment. 3 slips in the gully, and final ball of Broad's over. He's in, he bowls, and defended on the back foot. And I have to say, I'm a little perturbed by the lack of movement so far this morning. Only 2 overs gone. Maybe there will be something shortly, but we'll keep an eye on that. 36 for 1.
I mean, the wide that swung to second slip, notwithstanding.
Well, yeah, but it was very, very wide, and then it swung. But when they bowled tighter, it doesn't seem to have done very much. We shall see anyway as time progresses. As we're looking at Sam
Martin
Curran.
Lawrence says, hello team, England need to win this game because next week's forecast doesn't look good. I haven't looked that far ahead. Is that right?
I don't know. I mean, it's pretty difficult trying to forecast weather anywhere in England a week ahead.
Yeah.
Especially Manchester. Yeah.
And Leah says, come on England, enforce the follow-on, bowl absolute filth, then collapse in the chase. Dare to go where only Strayans have been thus far. And hello to YouTube. Dan De Castro says, hi guys and gal, my favourite song. That must be our Guerrilla Cricket theme tune. I agree, I love
It's a
it.
beauty.
Woke starts a new over, bowls, and he turns Joseph round. And he was trying to play that away through mid-wicket. It's shot off an outside edge. But it's evaded everyone, and a rather stiff-looking Tom Sibley. I suppose he did bat a lot of balls. Chases that down to third man. They get through for 3. Joseph moves to 19. What a terribly annoying night watchman he's turning out to be.
yes, the Jack Leach.
Yes,
With more shots.
Yes.
I
Alright.
don't know about that. That's extraordinarily
you diss
controversial.
Oh no, he's got. I think Jack Leach has 2 very good shots. I think Joseph is trying to play more.
Listen, I'm the man who watched that wonderful 92 from Jack Leach at Lord's that day. You were there, weren't you, Annie?
I'm the man as well, yeah.
Yes, you were there, and I thought it was a lovely innings.
It was great.
Some of his crisp driving was to die for.
Yes, and the heat as well that day. I
Yes.
don't know how he coped.
You'd have thought his glasses would have been steaming up underneath his crash helmet. Wokes again, bowling this time to Brathwaite. He's in, and he turns him around as well. So maybe there is a bit of subtle movement. It's gone exactly the same place. He was trying to play off the back foot this time rather than the front foot, but it's been chased down by a combination of Burns and Crawley, and they've got through for another 3. So this is interesting stuff. This is like a Dick Weller Broad dice cricket match where 3s galore are scored down to third man. Well done, Rory
Let's hope
Burns.
there's not so many no-ball wickets.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
There might be a little bit of movement off the pitch, just
Yeah.
a little bit of nibble away off the pitch, because we've seen, as you say, Joseph and Brathwaite both. Of course, Azara Joseph has been in the runs recently. He scored an 89 in the last first-class game of the West Indies season for the Leeward Islands against Jamaica, and he scored a 30, and he also has a 64 not out, a 35 not out, and a 47 not out in his innings before that in first-class cricket.
So as they say, he is no mug with said bat. Here comes Wokes again. This time he seems to watch any movement there is and wait for it and guides it square into the covers. Again, there's no run. 42 for 1. Brathwaite onto 9. Joseph on 19. We won't be able to get 6 threes this over. I wonder if we could go back in time. We always talk about 6 sixes in an over. Is there any way of finding out 6 threes in 6 consecutive balls? I imagine you need to be a Zaltzman class on Stats Guru to do that. Wokes is in, back of a legs.
Oh, he's dropped him.
He's dropped him in the slips, turned him around, and that is a mixture of Crawley and Stokes getting in the way of each other, it would appear. It flew quite high, I have to say. Again, he got turned around a little bit, and it's
perfect position.
Stokes has put it down, but he gives a glare as it goes to ground. He gives a glare to Crawley next to him, who he thought was coming across him, and that may have affected him in his peripheral vision. And England missed a second chance to get rid of Joseph. Of course, the LBW they had on the second night, which they didn't review. So already things not going for England. Wokes in again. This time he's going to get runs as he dangles the bat out there, times it quite nicely. It'll be a couple more. Burns is the man who does the fielding once more. Gully. And he's moved to 45 for 1.
Yeah, it's on the LBW, by the way. Sam Curran spoke about that and said that he thought it had hit back.
Yes,
so,
I saw that.
In terms of that catch, though, that came to Stokes quicker than he was expecting. The slips are quite close because we've seen a lot die through to the slips. So that came off the shoulder of the bat. It's a good delivery from Chris Wokes. He's bowled well in this over.
It's a good height, though, for the slip.
He is, but it's a slightly, because he's seen it a little bit late, it's a slightly awkward height. His hands are sort of tucked up. He's not gone. He probably wanted his palms facing out there, so it's just a bit awkward.
Wokes tries to bowl the in-swinger, and with that little bit of nip, Brathwaite happily accepts the leg glance opportunity, and it's gone for 4. Indeed so. 49
he looks so
for 1.
different with a beard.
Who? Chris Wokes?
Yeah.
Better, I think.
Better or worse?
So. He looks less sort of clean cut, doesn't he?
He looks more rugged.
Yes.
I like a bit of rugged.
I like a rugged man.
So 49 for 1, 17 overs bowled. They trail by 420. Brathwaite is on to 15. Joseph, having escaped 2 chances, is 20 not out. It doesn't augur well when you keep failing to get the night watchman out with you.
No.
Anyway.
I have Brian Kamanzi saying if Windies have one aggressive session today and get to 320, 350, then England may feel pressured to give them 220 to 250.
Down the leg side as Broad starts a new over. I'm thinking we need to go back through that and pull it apart. I didn't quite understand what's being said. If West Indies have one good session
and get to 320 to 350, then England may feel pressured to give them 220 to 250 in 2 sessions.
Oh, I see what he's saying.
Suspect that's
leading
more
to a real epic.
I suspect that's more than one aggressive session from the West Indies.
Yes.
Yes, I think to get another 300 runs from here well, let's say got a slightly extended day, so it's not impossible. And it depends how long England attack for if they start getting runs. In comes Broad. Bowles gets the in-swinger going a little bit, but very well watched by Joseph. Right onto the bat, and he defends with some style into the offside. And there is no run. More tweets.
And India Datta, who was on the other day, brilliant session with Tony, says Sam Curran needs to close his eyes and imagine he's playing India. That's the only way the ECB is going to dismiss Windies cricket twice in 2 days.
Sam Curran could be the man, actually. You're absolutely right. He does seem to be able to get swing when others can't. 3 slips to gully, man on the extra, man at mid-off. Onto the back foot goes Joseph. He does play the ball really quite late, which is quite a sign of quite a good batsman, actually. As for some reason we're going to see Nasser gloving up again. A man wears glove in COVID epidemic. Who'd have thought?
It's hardly news, is it?
Not really. He can't get the gloves on. That's what's so funny.
Yeah. Alzari Joseph is batting very well for a man with a first-class average of 13.
Yes, he does. He's
had a chance.
He's had a chance, but he looks when he's just playing and not giving chances. He looks good. He's going to go after this one. It's short. He pulls it. Didn't really get a lot on it. Maybe a bit of glove, and it will roll out behind square leg. Crawley, or Pope coming in from the deep square leg boundary to field. Oh my goodness, we're looking at Nasser Hussain's test record at Old Trafford. is extraordinarily bad.
It really is.
Only scored 55 runs at an average of 9 and a best of 16. Wow.
You can be sure they'll be taking the piss out of him for that.
I think if we had to stand up, that's exactly what would be happening. Broad in 50s up for the West Indies. He bowls to Brathwaite. Brathwaite fiddles outside the off stump, makes no contact. Frustrating for Broad, frustrating for England.
It's that beautiful Broady leg cutter where he just runs the fingers back over the ball.
Oh, I do love the Broady leg cutter. It is a classic. And he bowls it a little bit unlike anyone else. There seems to be more fingers involved with him.
Yeah, he sort of, it's a bit more subtle. He doesn't sort of roll his fingers sideways over the ball. He sort of runs his fingers down the back of the seam of the ball. So I guess it's harder to pick up.
Here he comes again. And he bowls too wide this time to Brathwaite. Ball rises on its way through to Joss Butler, but that is the end of the over. West Indies are 50-1. Any more tweets or social media contacts?
Adrian Lowe says, good morning chimps, have a great day. I'm off to a barbecue in mask and headband. Well, it's the thing to do, isn't it? Headband.
How do you eat a barbecue through your face mask?
Might have a big hole in the middle.
That's what
rather defeating the point.
Tim Everingham says, evening gorillas, I'd like to argue the labelling of Brathwaite's leave as Steve Smith-esque. It's not nearly as elaborate and ungraceful as Smith.
You want to question that? No, it's not. But I just feel that he was the innovator, really. So he
really did that sort of swish, didn't he? He used.
I mean, to be honest, I'd rather name a comet after him. But I think the leave is quite good. Wokes has the ball in his hands. He has the Alice band on his head, and he has the beard on his chin. He is running into the wicket to bowl to Joseph, and Joseph has a little bit of a feel for that rising delivery from back of a length, and there really isn't much luck at the moment for the England bowlers. They've been past the bat 3 or 4 times now, but they've even found an edge, but it's just not quite working for them. You have those periods in cricket, sometimes it can turn around. It kind of not reminiscent really, but a reminder of old Kemar Roach going 500 balls without a wicket and then taking 2 and 2 balls.
Although England are creating a lot of chances here, they just need to keep plugging away.
They do, and not get frustrated. Here he is again in bowls a short one. He tries to pull, and he was a bit cramped for room. I think it's gone off the hip. It's well taken actually by Butler, diving to his right.
Of course, he's perfect.
If he had that, he would have dropped it, wouldn't he?
When Butler first broke into the England Test team, a number of us, I think Hendo and I included, came to the realisation that Joss Butler is better taking difficult chances than he is simple ones.
I'm glad you reminded me of that.
He's superbly athletic, and his footwork's actually pretty good. So he can get to those ones, unlike Bairstow, who gets a bit cramped sometimes.
In again, he drives this one slightly on the up. He's going for a single. There could be a runner. There's trouble here. If it hits, no, it doesn't. Butler was herring to get to the stump so that he could whip the bails off if Sibley didn't
Sibley's
hit
rubbish,
directly.
isn't he? Should be dropped.
He needs to lose at least another 2 stone. 50 for 1 the score. Joseph it was who'd come a long way down. It was a terrible attempt at a run. I think he just thought it was quite a nice shot and he should go for it. Sibley came round at wide mid-off. He would have been completely sold down the river really, because that would have been out by about a metre and a half.
Probably an unnecessarily hard throw from Sibley. He could have made it a lot easier for Butler.
I'd have preferred it if it had been Jimmy Anderson in that position, but of course he's not playing in this test. Anyway, Wokes continues, bowling to Joseph, who's on 21. He's in, he bowls, and it's a straight ball. It's a good ball, but it's a beautiful high elbow from Joseph in defence there, and the ball runs up to mid-on. We're going to have a look at this again from the stump cam. Brathwaite wasn't keen. Basically, Joseph ran a whole single, I would say. He got halfway down, had to go back. I mean, you can argue that Butler should have been there quicker, but it all happened very quickly. It's a long way to come. People don't realise how far back wicketkeepers stand to place bowlers. Wokes in again, bowls right in behind it this time. Joseph watchfully playing up to Sibley again at extra cover. Yeah,
Butler's fast, but I don't think even he can cover 25 yards in 3 seconds.
No, exactly.
Sibley should have made that a lot easier for Joss Butler, and just kind of, rather than trying to throw the stumps down, just try and sort of lob it in gently over the top of the stumps. And if he had done, Joseph would have been gone by a mile.
Yeah, I don't know whether. I mean, I'm not sure whether Butler would have been close enough for that if he pinged it across the top of the stumps. I think you have to go for the direct hit in those circumstances. Anyway, interesting point of conversation. Joseph waits again, and he's in and down the leg side. This goes probably just flicking the pad. Butler rolls away to his left to take. That is the end of the over. It's a maiden. West Indies are 50 for 1. Anyone join us on Crick Tracker?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'll say hello to someone on Crick Tracker. Chinmay Samada says, if England not to force West Indies follow on, then the test match result is the draw 100%. If this happened, it is a huge impact in England cricket.
Not a huge impact. I mean, it will be annoyed. England will have thought they should have done better. I wouldn't say with a huge
I
impact.
think it's a bigger impact in West Indies.
I think that's probably
Yes.
right. I can see a scenario where England can win this test match if they're batting third, as it were.
Yeah. And Chotu Singh says hello, and hi to everyone on Crick Tracker.
Hi.
Yes, great to have you along. In comes Broad, Brathwaite. Brathwaite tickles this away. Can't be stopped at square leg. He has to chase back, and they get through for 2. That's Ollie Pope doing the work down there. 52 for 1. Brathwaite moves to 17, and Joseph has 21. Yes, I mean, in a way, one would like. I hate this, but one would like to see West Indies do well, and hopefully re-engage the public in the Caribbean.
It's the great
Whether
old,
that would work anyway, I don't know.
It's the great old cliche, isn't it? Cricket needs a strong West Indies, and every single win is a new dawn. The West Indies are a much better team than they were a few years ago in Test cricket.
Oh, way better, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true. Broad in again to Brathwaite. Brathwaite goes back, plays this with a lot of confidence, a lot of time, almost just scooping it with his bottom hand out into the offside. And they take another single, 53 for 1. So already 21 runs added in the 23 minutes of play that we've had this morning. So West Indies will be very happy with the start. England, as Knuckles said a few minutes ago, just need not to lose their discipline. They're bowling reasonably well. Could have had a wicket or 2 this morning, and they've just got to wait for it to come rather than maybe chasing it too hard.
This isn't one of those pitches where you need to make something happen. Just put enough balls around the top of off stump and something will happen.
Here is Joseph again, waiting for Broad, and he plays him again nicely, opening the face away through gully. It's another long chase. It's going to be another 3. It might even be 4. It is 4. Rory Burns has prostrated himself over the sponge, and Joseph moves to 25.
Rory Burns has put in a fair old couple of sprints today already.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, he'd be exhausted by now.
Well, he didn't do much batting, to be fair. Not as much as Sibley, anyway.
Just a tad less than a few balls
Alzari Joseph's bat looks absolutely beautiful. Those purple Keeley stickers. I don't know. Keeley, I assume, is a sponsor in the Caribbean. I don't know who makes the bat, but it's a lovely piece of willow.
It's quite classy, isn't it? Yeah. Must be annoying them now.
It must be. They say they want to see the back of that Keeley Keeley bat. Anyway, so Joseph has moved on to 25 from 35. You can see a S50 on the horizon for him here. He's waiting for Broad again into his 8th over, running in with his headband on, and he has a drive at that, and he's got away with it again. It's not been stopped at third slip by Zach Crawley. I don't think it was a chance, but it was a genuine edge, and it's 4 more runs.
Yeah, Crawley's a big man, but even he at full length wasn't going to get to that. You can't have fielders everywhere.
You can't. I mean, to be fair, also being a big man, it's not so easy to get down necessarily. If that is, no, it was. Hang on, that was at catchable height between the slip and the gully, wasn't it?
It went through. It went through at catchable height,
Yeah.
but it went through the gap.
Yeah, it did. I
quite a
thought
big
initially.
gap.
Yeah, I thought initially that it had gone to ground and he just had trouble grabbing it, but no, it was in catchable domain. Man goes back at deep backward square. 3 slips in the gully remain. Maybe the gully's just moved a little tighter to the slips. He's in again. Bowls to Joseph. Joseph plays this
Shot!
pleasantly on the up. That's a really good shot. It's going to bring him 2 more as Chris Wokes runs back from mid-off to do the fielding. Partnership is now worth 47 from 62 balls. The West Indies have raced onto 63 for 1.
They're bossing it.
They're bossing it, man. They're bossing it, absolutely. They really are. So this is quite entertaining stuff.
Yeah, Craig Brathwaite has contributed 14 of this partnership.
Yeah, although he actually has been a little bit quicker this morning than he was on Friday night. This is a very confident little knock from Joseph, who faces again and goes for the hook. And then what on earth has happened there? Has it gone off his helmet? I think Zach Crawley was leaping to try and grab it from the air. Whether there was any bat involved,
Leg by signalled.
Leg by signalled. So yet more runs, but is it leg buys? It's got to 31 now, Joseph. Anyway, it's the end of Broad's over, and he's a little nonplussed by it all. I'd like to see a replay of that just to bring you the complete picture. Here we are from behind. He goes for the pull, goes off his helmet, and flies through the slips. A flying Zach Crawley got hands to it, but couldn't prevent it racing away.
I wouldn't be surprised if you saw the cordon drop back a yard or two. Because I think this pitch seems to be a little bit quicker than it was.
Yes, I mean Joseph really was beaten to pace there as he tried to hook that. He was never really in position to play the shot. Partnership is now 50-51 from 63 balls.
Talking of the partnership, Martin Lawrence says is simply trying to emulate Brathwaite in technique, both traditional openers. You see that he's doing the same sort of.
I think approach. Yeah, their techniques are very different. Craig Brathwaite's really even more of a blocker than Dom Sibley is, and isn't quite so leg side dominant. But yeah, they are both very much in the block first, ask questions later school of opening.
Yeah,
Alzari Joseph. Sorry, I should just say Alzari Joseph is being assessed for concussion by the West Indies doctor, which is quite right, having been clunked on the head at 80 odd miles an hour. While I should do that, we should plug the GPL.
Yes, I was just about to mention that. What have we got in the? What have we got in the pot?
We've got in the pot 24 quid, and that can be yours for a £1 stake. So the GPL is our game where you guess the number of runs that will be scored in today's play. You have until lunchtime to do so, which is 1 p.m. UK time, so about an hour and a half from now. You go to GorillaCricket.com/competition, follow the on-screen instructions to log in or register, and you guess the number of runs that will be scored in the day's play. You can have as many guesses as you like. Each guess costs you £1. The pounds go in the pot, and if you are bang on, you win the pot, or share the pot if two of you or more of you guess the exact same right number. But you have to be absolutely bang on. If nobody is bang on, then we get a rollover. We have had people won 190 quid before, but you can certainly get yourself 20 odd quid if you enter today. GorillaCricket.com/competition.
Wokes starts his 8th over, 3 slips in the gully, man at square leg, just approaching a little bit closer than he might normally be, defended back to the bowler. And of course, if you haven't done the GPL, give it a try. It's a brilliant competition. It's fantastic late in the day when the numbers are building and you're looking at the scores that have been forecast, and it really adds something to the final session, I think. And if we could just get 100 of you to do it a day, it would make a big difference to Guerrilla Cricket finances, as well as potentially yours. Wokes in wide, swinging further, and left alone by Brathwaite through the keeper.
Sorry,
go on, Annie.
I was going to say Carnaby Rob is saying get Bess on.
It won't be too long.
I think they will before long, but I wouldn't be surprised if they have a double change where Curran comes into the picture as well.
Yeah, creating the footmarks with every delivery. I wouldn't have been too surprised, honestly, if they'd opened with Best this morning and just rotated the fast bowlers at the other end. But I guess you want to have a look at Wokes and Broad for a little while.
Wokes in again. Bowls. He's very close to getting a little edge through to that full swinging delivery. It was a good one from Wokes.
And they bowled well.
In. Yeah, they bowled pretty well. Yeah, I mean, and they're also being quite attacking, so there are gaps. So if you play well, if you play some good shots as well, you will get some runs. So it's entertaining cricket at this stage. That was an absolute beauty. The more I see it, the more I fall in love with that particular delivery.
It looked like a slower ball, but it wasn't. It sort of just is that lovely just shape away.
Yeah, that's when he's at his best, Wokes, really. Here he is again in, and he gets this one to nibble off the seam, perhaps a yard too short, because even though Brathwaite has the little poke at it, he doesn't throw his bat too far away from his body and get into trouble.
Sammy Curran's been sent down to long leg. I think that change is coming soon.
Yep, he's doing some exercises, touching his toes. It's not very far for him to touch his toes, to be fair.
He's probably,
some of us-
to be fair, I'm about the same height as Sam Curran and I can't.
I'm smaller and I can.
Well, there you go. You're fitter, probably, Annie. That's the thing. It's all that scoring you do. Outside the off stump, left alone by Brathwaite. I mean, I actually think that since we've started doing virtual Gorilla by Zoom, I think I move even less per day than I used to when we went to Sydenham.
Well, that isn't surprising, is it? Or have you got a massive house?
No, I've got a very tiny house, very tiny flat. Yeah, there's very little room to manoeuvre in here.
I was going to say, we've got more space here in almost Kent.
In almost Kent, yes. In almost the Garden of England. In comes Wokes Bowles. This one goes straighter, but wide of the off stump still. And Brathwaite reduces the Steve Smith lead. That is the end of the over.
We should get, more plugging because we've got we're a ruthlessly commercial operation, as you know, here at Gorilla Cricket.
Absolutely.
We're partnered with Hot Mic for this series and beyond. Hot Mic is the most reliable way to sync up our live interactive never ever geo-blocked commentary to your TV pictures. And unlike Facebook and YouTube, there's no ads, and you can listen to our commentary even when you navigate to another app. So you can you don't have to keep the app open. So, for example, if you want to tweet us, you can have the Hot Mic app running in the background, and you'll hear our commentary the whole way through uninterrupted. It's great. It doesn't drop out when we change videos at session breaks. It's awesome. So go to download the Hot Mic app from iOS or Android, use the code GC Radio at sign up, and get involved. And of course, every sign up does help us out. John Watt on Hot Mic says morning.
Hello, John.
Hello, John.
Absolutely. Good morning. Good morning to everyone who's joined us this morning. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us, watching this intriguing game develop. In comes Sammy Curran, and Joseph has decided to blast him now. He stopped for a big heave, got a thick inside edge. It went straight to square leg, and there is no run. I think Sammy Curran, who really does need that headband because his fringe is. It reminds me of the New Romantics of 1979 and 80. Do you remember those, Annie?
No.
Were you not a New Romantic? I bet
No,
you were.
I wasn't really. No.
Were you a goth?
No, I wasn't a goth.
You weren't
I
anything.
don't have the right colour hair for goth.
Were you a rocker? Mod?
No.
Oh dear. All right then. Nothing. Defended back to Curran. I cannot get any more
disco?
revelations from Annie about her musical past.
Oh, country, me.
Oh, country.
I'm a country girl.
No.
Jolene.
Actually,
Jolene.
I can imagine you in a big line dance. Actually, I can imagine
Oh
you in
no,
line
I've never
dancing.
done a line dance.
Line dance. I can imagine
sorry.
with long boots and.
All right.
Yeah, sorry.
These boots are made for line dancing.
Exactly.
Sorry, we should jingle up the. Well, we used to call him the Demon Boy Child, but he's now been demoted to an imp with that hair.
Yes. Okay. Man goes back at deep square leg, a few yards in from the boundary.
Sorry, talk over this.
Here comes Curran, bowls, and is driven splendidly, but fielded at mid-on by Chris Wokes, and there is no run. 67 for one, yes, 67. They won 32 for one overnight. They've hit 35 in 35 minutes. What's going on out there?
Hey, Leah says, come on, Alzari, epic night watchman ton.
Oh yes, that would be quite fun actually. I mean, even though it would put England out of the game, it would be quite good fun.
Well, I mean, not necessarily. If everyone else collapses at the other end, we could have both.
Oh yes, maybe they're all going to bat around Alzari. No, he's much more attacking than that. It's back with Curran, and he's just looking across to Stuart Broad for a little bit of guidance, perhaps, or an idea or two. He's coming in to Joseph, and Joseph leaves now, just when we thought he was going to hammer it all over the place. He's decided to leave one outside the off stump. Through the keeper it goes, and there is no run. If I was Joe Root, I'd be getting a little bit fidgety now, just a little bit. The early breakthrough has not come. It should have come. There have been catches gone down, there have been run-outs missed, there have been balls played and missed at, but also some really attractive shots played. It's been thoroughly good fun. In comes little Sammy Curran again. The bowls to Joseph, a short one. Too short, he saw that early, got down underneath it early too. And again, it's through Butler. We have one ball remaining in this over from Curran. He's not really done much to impress me with this over. It's a little bit of a...
It's a bit wayward, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit of a loosener of an over.
Do you think with Joseph's proactivity, he's actually a little bit worried about pitching the ball up?
Who?
Curran in this over.
He shouldn't be. He should be encouraged by that because he can create a gap between bat and pad, which his swing can take advantage of. This one has come back into him again. It's a little bit too short. He comes forward, defends. It's interesting to say a little bit short, but he comes forward because he did come forward to a shortish delivery. That is the end of the over. 67 for 1, Brathwaite 18, Joseph 31. One more over, and we will have a change of commentary. Jono will be coming into the booth, and I will be popping out of it for a little while.
And we'll also be having Jules Farman.
Jules Farman, of course, is joining us as well. She can tell us about buys and when they should be buys and when they shouldn't be buys.
I just looked. It was given as an extra wide.
Okay, there we go.
And am I staying on? Is that
You're staying. Yeah. You are doing everything this morning.
I'm just everything.
You are omnipotent.
You're every woman
today.
I'm just going to say, Small Town Boy says, doesn't cricket need a strong England or any of the other big three?
I'll come back to that as Wokes bowls. Brathwaite tickles it away nicely behind square. They're going to get back for a second. No, they're not. Good piece of sliding stoppery by the man running back. And they get to go quickly, and Brathwaite is not going to take on Pope's arm. It does need a strong England in one sense, but in another sense, the thing about English cricket fans is that we will endure. And we will watch us however bad we get.
We've been through those really crap years.
To be fair, it's been a long time since England have been genuinely crap at Test cricket.
Yeah,
consistently.
I mean, yeah, but you see, you're younger than me, so it probably seems that way. For me, periods shorter, if that makes sense. Joseph down to face on 31. Wokes is in and swings the ball away, but Joseph watches the line closely and lets it go through. Yeah, I mean, as an England fan, I feel like, because I am 25 years at least older than you, Natal, that I've been through several crap England teams. You might have only been through one really crap England team.
It's been, the last really crap England team sort of died in 1999.
Yes, exactly. And so, how old were you then?
8.
Young. 8.
So that was the year I started watching cricket.
Oh well, there you go. That was a bad
It
year
was
to
your
choose.
fault.
Down the leg side, this one goes. Butler dives away to his left and takes it well.
It was the last World Cup on free-to-air telly.
Oh god, that was an awful World Cup as well. I remember watching it in Bermuda, where I was working, and watching that final game where England went out was just
India went out pretty limply as well. I mean, Lance Klusener was brilliant in that tournament, and he was sort of my first cricketing hero as a result.
Oh right, okay, that's interesting. Lance Klusener. That's not someone that you would necessarily think of being a hero, but he was a fantastic one-day player for sure. Short one, too short. Joseph under it easily. And again through the Butler.
Chris Wokes has invented the outswinging bouncer.
Yeah, that's not too. The in-swinging bouncer is actually much more dangerous, isn't it? It can hurt you. It keeps following you as a player. The away swinging bouncer is always going away from harm, really. 68 for 1. Jono has joined us in the booth. He's just unmuted himself. He's an unmuted Jono, and when you get an unmuted Jono, frightening prospect. Wokes bowls outside the stump, too wide in this over a little bit. Joseph leaves it alone again. 68 for 1. One ball remaining, and is Jules going to unmute herself and reveal herself to the Twitter?
Yeah. So what we'll do?
Well, no, she did. Oh yes, there she is. Yeah. She has done.
Yeah,
she's revealed.
Yeah, I think it's best if Annie, if you stay on social media and Jules can summarise.
Okay. That means I'm needed.
That makes sense, doesn't it? Does make sense in these complicated days. In comes Wokes, final ball of the over, right up there, driven, beautiful shot. Wokes does well to dive and stop it. That is the end of the over. It's been a good start this morning from the West Indies. They've moved on to 68 for 1. Brathwaite 19, Joseph 31, and the next voice you hear should be that of Jono. Welcome, Jono.
Morning, Hendo. How are you guys?
Morning. Well, yes, not too bad. I'll be on my way. Ta-ta.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, I'll just do a couple of tweets while we're moving over. Derek Willis says Joseph doing a good audition for West Indies T20 opener, which it's fair enough. And Mog says sorry, no time to tweet, busy buying a new yacht off the proceeds of Sean Tracy, I can't remember his name now, funnels into disinterested handjob.
Not much you can say to that.
Here we go. Sam Curran in past the umpire.
Oi!
Oh!
Oof.
Thought he nicked it. Been a funny morning, hasn't it? It's a few opportunities, just not taking any of them. It's you'd think that we'd need a pretty fast start. I think if we have to bat again, I know I listened to Knuckle saying that he thinks that there's potentially a positive result for England if we do have to bat third. I personally think it'll be a draw if that happens. But Curran again to Ryan. Brathwaite this time, and just pushed out to mid-wicket for a quick single. What do you guys think? I mean, the longer it goes, the draw's just looking more and more likely in a 4-day game.
Yeah, the longer it goes, the happier the Windies will be, I think.
I have woken up this morning having played my first game of cricket.
Oh, yesterday.
Oh my God. I resemble an ironing board with an ironing board strapped to the ironing board's back.
That bad?
It took literally about 45 minutes to get out of bed. It's absolutely tragic. I've bowled 2 overs and batted for 10. Curran in again. Oh, works his way outside, thick outside edge through the cover region. I think that's Burns after that, is it? Oh no, Dom Best returns it to Butler as they take another one. Brathwaite on to 20. Joseph, 32 off 50 balls.
He's on fire.
Yeah, it's amazing. His average in Test is 6.4 runs apparently, so that's certainly going to increase this morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, we seem to be having this quite a lot. These night watchmen doing their thing and fooling everyone.
Knuckle unconfirmed, but I think it was Stephen, New Zealand, wasn't it? Did he make 99? Didn't quite get to his 100. But yeah, you do see some amazing ones, don't you? I think Jimmy's had 95, I think, at one point.
Yeah,
let's not forget Leach.
Yeah, absolutely. Curran kind of moving away from the right hand left alone.
I was just waiting for Annie just to see how long it would take to mention Leach. I literally had a clock there going, oh, that's only taken 1 minute to mention a Somerset player.
Yeah, come on, I haven't done many yet.
We should put a sweepstake on it.
Absolutely should do.
Well, to be fair, it was rather an amazing innings.
Curran in again, full ball just blocked into the mid-on region by Brathwaite for no run.
But Jack Leach is no much mug of a bat, to be fair. I think everyone's gone, oh, he's an amazing night watchman, but he can absolutely hold his own.
And Best can too.
Yeah.
Don Best is a good player.
Talking of Best, do you think they're going to bring him on?
I think the amount of turn that we saw even on day one, I think Old Trafford is normally quite quick, isn't it? And then it will turn later in the game, but you'd think that Best is probably the best chance we've got as Curran comes in swinging, full ball to Brathwaite, blocked at Stuart Broad, mid-off for no run to complete 24. I think Best is probably our best option. You'd think that Joseph might go for one hoik too many and just hit one up in the air. I think tail-ends are probably worse against spinners than they are against seamers.
Yes, probably. Yep. I've got a couple of tweets of people talking about the hand sanitizer and whether England slips have put too much hand sanitizer on. So that's an interesting idea, but I don't think there's many that's gone to hand really. Leah says, I think I annoyed some guy in the staff at BBC TMS sufficiently by relentlessly plugging Guerrilla Cricket in their mentions that they posted a YouTube link today. Which everyone should ignore in favour of the Gorillas. Excellent, keep going, Leah.
You've called it right, Annie. Don Best is coming on, and we have a jingle for it.
Emerge from the county sea where it flies its rain. It's Dominic Best, selected for the Euro Test, the latest in a long line of sinners who turned out to be rejects.
This will be interesting.
Yeah. Hopefully you can get one early and then it feels like we can really start to get into him. And he comes, Best first delivery of the Test. and just blocked out to extra cover by Joseph. I fancy Joseph to have a massive whop at one, maybe get away with a couple, but I think best probably get him quite early here. Fingers.
Is that wishful thinking?
As he bets in again. Oh, that turned sharply, and he's gone. Ollie Pope, short leg. Fantastic. 2 balls. Brilliant. Pretty casual take there from Ollie Pope, the old one-handed grab at short leg. Exactly. Look, if you're an England fan, exactly what you'd have been hoping for there. West Indies. They've got to be proud of Joseph. He's done his job. You know, people say even if they're out last ball of the previous day, they've done their job, haven't they? So, fantastic effort.
But I mean, Pope there has shown a little bit of his wicket-keeping skills there as well, because he had to dive over quite low to the ground on his right-hand side to get that ball, but an absolute gimme. So we've had a knucklegram. I do love a knucklegram in virtual sense. So that actually raises Joseph's average to 8.31, maybe a little slightly more than that. I think he did get a couple of runs between the time that Knuckle posted that and his wicket. So yeah.
Maybe you should go in as night watchman more often, eh? Probably help. I've got a couple of quick tweets while we're waiting for the next batsman to come in. Muttley says, Annie holding the fort, doing the job of 3 men. Well done. Woof. Thank you. Mog says, Knackle just inadvertently reminded me of something I said I was going to do. On your desk tomorrow. I wonder what you did, Knackle. Small Town Boy says, Azari looking more solid than Hope on this tour. Sorry, that was 5 minutes ago. And Martin Lawrence says, maybe I'm being generous here, but 1999 was the last rubbish team for England I can remember.
And in walks this man.
Shay ho, shay ho, shay ho, shay ho, shay 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 ho, shay ho, shay ho, shay ho.
If you think about it, if Bairstow got back into this side,
We'd have keepers galore.
Butler, Pope or Burns, we'd have 4 keepers.
But they make good fielders.
They do. Small, agile.
He's still not the best one behind the stumps.
Yeah, but he's not small, is he? The best one.
Bairstow.
Folks.
Yeah, he's tall.
But I mean, folks, he learned from Foster. I mean, Foster's about 6 foot and Folks is about the same height. So, you know, I always think there's this misdemeanour that wicket keepers have to be little guys, and it just shows.
Well, you have to get down far.
That's in. First ball was pushed out into short mid-on by Newman Shy Hope. Incredibly attractive as well, Ben Folks, isn't he?
He's got the teeth. I think Butler's more attractive myself.
As Bess approaches again. Oh, Shy Hope pushed out to mid-on. Thought about a 1, but didn't take it in the end. Well, you firmly put your eggs all in one basket there, Annie, haven't you? Sorry, man.
Somerset Vision has spoken.
Gus is a much more attractive man than you are. If you're listening. As Bess approaches again. Oh. I think Bess, again, no run. Curran tidies up at 45 on the 1. I think Bess, looking from his first over here, is going to cause some problems.
Yeah, his first over for this morning. Yeah, he's really getting the batters really question how they're going to play the shot. I think England have set a really decent field here as well by actually having players around the bat. The amount of times they put players around the bat, I think it's frustrating.
Bess into complete his third over. Oh! That's gone through the gate. Somehow missed off still. No route. I don't know what happened. Tidied up, no run taken as Sam Curran does the fielding at 45 on the 1 again. I mean, maybe 19 wickets isn't such a long way away. I mean, if he... Oh, my word.
Bounce. It shaved, didn't it?
Bounce. Bounce.
Take a root's cup off and play through.
Bounce.
They're all smiling, aren't they? I'm just going to do a tweet. Messi just says he can't join you yet as he's on a Zoom call. Notice this on Cricinfo, though Alzari Joseph has got past 30 twice in his last 3 Test innings. He had not got to double digits in his first 14 innings. So that's not bad. He's obviously improving.
Working hard in the net, yeah. Right, Curran to follow Dominic Bess into Brathwaite, and just that pushing it across him, just blocked out into the offside for no run.
So for all you, go on.
The tall keepers. I mean, you know Josh well as well, Jules. He's 6'1", 6'2", and predominantly a keeper, isn't he?
Yeah, and I mean, he was quite a big, slightly quite big lad when we knew him. He's lost a fair bit of weight, but he's still not a little wickety guy that you'd historically have your wicket keepers like. And I think it shows that with wicket keeping, I mean, it's come a long way in terms of the coaching, whereas you would go for sort of crouching down. I'll let you do his ball.
It's Curran in, slightly straighter, and works behind square by Brathwaite for one.
Whereas when you're coaching wicket keepers now, you're looking for more of an upright position. And I think so many keepers from where they've played down the dawns of time have just got absolutely wrecked knees. It's more in the thighs these days and really sort of becoming more of an upright position.
Yeah, and the fitness levels are much better for players generally as well, aren't they? So that will help.
Yeah, 100%.
My dad stopped keeping at 74. He never had problems with his knees.
Great effort.
Effort. Curran in, second ball the over. Swinging back into right-handed Pope, and works into mid-wicket for no run.
The stat heads out there. So Joseph out for 32 runs. He faced 52 balls, so the strike rate was just over 61, which was pretty impressive for a night watchman. And I think he was making the most of the slight sort of swing and pace this morning, and he got 3 fours in his innings too.
Has anybody seen, talking about strike rate, I'll come back to this. After this ball from Curran, who approaches the crease, has the umpire, swinging back in towards Hope, but blocked solidly out into the covers for no run. There's been a picture of Joe Root doing the rounds on Twitter. You've probably all seen it, where they've obviously superimposed, it looks like Uncle Albert from Only Fools and Horses' face onto Joe Root's eyes, and says Joe Root celebrating Stokes and Sibley getting to their hundreds finally. Didn't know how much age watching it.
No, I haven't seen that.
It's brilliant. I'll send it to the group. Well bowled Curran, he's swinging back. Probably would have hit off stump, but covered up well by Hope, who blocks it from broad at mid-off for no run. I mean, what would the thought process be behind the way they were to go about it if we only do draw the game? Should they have gone a bit more aggressive a bit earlier?
What, England or West Indies?
No, England. I mean, Curran in.
I think they bowled really well to start with. I don't think they've been unaggressive.
Pushed out into the point region, tied up by Bess for no run. Go on, Jules.
Well, I'd say you want a batter to stick around. I think with Burns and also Sibley, they've got batters that Burns can get on it, but actually he kind of went into, I mean, he was sort of out relatively early, but it did kind of go into his shell a bit. Sibley, you do want a batter that's going to anchor your innings for the England side, but I think also don't take it away from the West Indies bowlers either, because they were making Sibley question. His confidence was pretty low relatively low from that first test, and I just think it was for Sibley more of a confidence builder innings. It'd be interesting if England do come out to bat again, how he's going to approach it, because he's going to need to get quick runs on the board.
I think he put them in a good position. I just think that yesterday was a real shame.
Dessin started his new over and probably too full to allow the ball to turn, but pushed out to mid-off. Stuart Broad ties us up for no run. I mean, Knuckle or Jules as our two resident brilliant stats people. I did see a infographic about Sibley's T20 strike rate the other day, as Dessin second ball just blocked back up the pitch by Brathwaite for no run. And actually, his T20 strike rate is pretty good. I think it's 22 or something. I don't know if someone can double check that. It's 122. That's worked out. Probably going to be 2 as Broad chased it out through extra cover, bends down like the Karate Kid, picks it up and returns it to Best, the bowler.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Sibley bowling in his T20 as well.
Yeah, he bowled 50 biggies, doesn't he? But yeah, obviously he wasn't really getting much of a go at Surrey. That move to Warwickshire has worked wonders for him. Besting again. We're just a tad full so far in this over, but that's just worked it to mid-on for no run. Tied it up by, I think, the Swallows. Yeah, it's a Besting again. Better length delivery then. Probably going to offer him a bit more there. The turn seems variable, doesn't it? Like, there's some turning a long way, there's some not turning quite so far.
The beauty of it is it's making West Indies batters really sort of retreat back. Brathwaite came really right back there.
Be honest.
The last one that does turn, probably slightly quicker, pushed it through a little more maybe.
I need to do some tweets.
Yeah, please do.
Mog says the thorn between two roses on the video feed, that's you, John, I think, looks very much like a coach making a statement after a match in front of the official sponsors placard. It's because you're in kit as well. Matley's pleased that there's a wicket. Let the claps begin. Woof. And the Duke of Umbridge says, my dear Gorilla Cricket, as a Somerset man myself, I feel obliged to point out there are a number of place names in the country that would suit the beefy enumerable rather well.
Curran in and started to swing back, but that's forced out through the cover point region by Shai Hope, and that will bring in one of these.
1 2 ka 4 4 2 ka 1. My name is Lakhan. My name is Lakhan.
They look like they're enjoying playing Curran more.
Yeah, I think he has to be quite clever, doesn't he? I think when obviously the India series, he bowled very well. I think when he's learned how to bowl when it's not swinging for him, but he does have to offer it up at that full length, doesn't he? And so yeah, he is going to concede boundaries at points as he comes in again now to Hope slightly shorter and try to force that off the back foot through the covers, but just out to Rory Burns at extra cover for no run.
Just want to finish this tweet. Lord Botham of Bossington, for example, or Bowlish, or Cad Green, perhaps even Cricket Mala Herbie. We were talking about Botham getting his becoming Lord yesterday when we were whibbling in early morning.
Oh, I missed that. Completely missed that. Lord Ian Botham.
Yeah, for his services to Brexit.
Curran in, ball swinging back. Would have been a great shout at LBW had he not have middled it up to mid-on for no run.
You can imagine how delighted we all were, especially Hendo.
That can't be the stated reason.
Yes, it was stated.
That he's got a period due to
his services to Brexit.
That is absolutely incredible. I mean, I don't really like to be political most of the time anyway, and I'm certainly not going to be going to my thoughts on that, but that is...
Yes, well, we did a lot of that yesterday, so don't worry.
Fair enough. Curran in again, full ball, and one-handed pick-up as Hope forced it back down the pitch, and then the Shy at the stump.
Frustration from Curran there.
Yeah. Do you remember the original Karate Kid film? And when Daniel's son fought the angry guy from the Cobras. I reckon Sam Curran looks like the angry guy.
Does a bit, yeah.
Gets his nose like wiped all over his face by Danielson in the final scene. A bit short and a bit less angry.
Yeah, good show.
His hair has grown more
thick
than
hair,
ever.
I think.
That one's forced wider by Curran, another full ball, and that's smashed out through the offside by Hope for one of these.
Super shatta, super shatta, super shatta, super shatta, super shatta, rocka, super shatta.
Yeah, lovely shot here by Hope. Yeah, just force that through cover, extra cover for another weird thing that I had yesterday. So a couple of the lads gave me cash for their match fees, and I keep looking at it on the desk, and I don't know what to do with it.
We've got a card reader in our club.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we started off with a card reader.
Purring in again. Oh, has he loved that down the leg side? No appeal. Certainly a deflection must have come off his thigh pad. And that ends the over 8 from it as the lads are going to have a drink.
I'll just say hello to some people on YouTube. Finlo Page says, "Hi guys, Ghana happy we are playing today." Yeah, I bet. And Finlo Page says, "Bess has Joseph out beautifully." Yep. Muttley says, "Gorilla Cricket, mini English breakfast today. I batch cooked these and froze them all. They come out UK when they come out when warmed up. Thankfully, I don't like runny yolks. Washed down with a can of Pepsi." It looks amazing. You have to have a look at his food. It's quite impressive. And Darren Macy says, "Cricket on the telly, master's thesis taking shape on the laptop, Gorilla Cricket providing commentary. This is my life now. Just got to work out where to pop an iPad when the Formula One starts." That's what I like to see.
I'm sure how much of that dissertation is going to get.
Yes, absolutely.
Playing on 3 different things at once. Knuckles just pointed out that we tweeted about it yesterday. We didn't mention on air that Archer is eligible now. He must have had his 2 tests.
Oh, good.
And has only been fined.
Yeah.
I mean, popping home. I mean, come on. We were talking about the game yesterday. His girlfriend was definitely at home while he popped home. Surely that's the only reason you go to Brighton to Manchester via Brighton from Southampton.
Do you think he should be treated more harshly?
Well, I just don't think that the reason of, oh yeah, just popped home. What, for a tin of soup? Don't think so. He's not been home and picked up a tin of soup and 3 pot noodles to get him through the next stage of like hotel life in Manchester, hasn't he?
What is the reason that they don't all go in the coach together? I didn't ever find that out. I know there was a reason.
They say that because they've always travelled separately, they just prefer to do that. I agree with you.
They might prefer it, but we're not always in a...
We've never been through COVID before.
That's right.
I think Michael Holding was talking about it and was saying it's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just maximises your risk of something going a bit astray. I mean, regardless of the fact you clocked home to see your latest foe, if your car had broken down or something had happened en route, what would have been the mitigating action there? It just seems a hell of a risk to take.
Knuckles said the ECP took advice that separate cars make it easier to contain a potential positive COVID case.
Yeah, I agree, but I wonder if they've all been in this, one of these 3,000 different bubbles that they have at these test grounds at the moment. Like, you'd think that the risk's pretty much mitigated anyway. Like, if they needed petrol, at least it'd only be the driver getting out, but then he might pass it to everybody else. So it might not be the worst idea, in fairness.
Yeah, and Archer, he did the wrong thing. He absolutely did the wrong thing. He's been fined for it. I think we need to move on.
His missus might tell you he did the right thing.
Well, she might. We don't know the circumstances, to be fair. But I just think, Archer. We need him. Cricket needs him to be there. So I'm glad he's in the third.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Look, he's a bowler that we'd certainly like to have in the side. As best in to start a new over. Ooh, straighter on that. Again, kind of a bit flatter to Brathwaite, just works. Picked up by Ollie Pope, short leg.
You do kind of think if you had spin at both ends here, this would really put the pressure on West Indies. When Curran comes on and they got 8 off his last over.
Bessin, and that's worked out to backward square leg for no run. I think
they're just scoring off Curran, aren't they?
Yeah, they're absolutely targeting Curran's of over because he is going just slightly sort of off stump, and they just go, right, we'll hit that mid covers, jobs are good, and that ticks our scoreboard through.
As best, and again, off balance. Hope there just works it round the corner again for no run. I think there was a bit of analysis there. They were just showing that where Best is trying to pitch it where Curran's follow through is.
Yeah.
So it's quite possibly a plan to create some rough there with Curran being a left arm over for Best to bowl.
Yeah, that makes sense.
As he's in again and probably too full, but blocked just back up to the bowler for no run by Craig Brathwaite.
I wonder how much the West Indies are ruining not playing Cornwall, because they could have two spinners either end.
Yeah, absolutely. He's certainly regarded as a better spinner, isn't he, than Chest? But not the batter. As Best in again, and that's covered up nicely by Brathwaite and got back up the pitch to the bowler for no run.
Was there an explanation as to why they didn't pick Cornwall? Because I think going into this test, there was a lot of talk that he was going to be picked, and it just didn't happen. I don't know if anybody out there is able to let us know, or we might get a quick knuckle grab come through.
Best in again, and just worked past the man round the corner, but again for no run. Completes Best's fifth over. He is currently 1 for 10, 81 for 2 from 29. Any other social media bits in, Annie?
Yes. Mark says a tin of soup is an act. Sorry, I'll break up. Oh, no, it's not. A tin of soup is an act between consenting adults that probably can't be described in polite company. Thank you, Mark. And Nutley says, I'm trying to kick my serious addiction to takeaway. Since lockdown began, I got to the point where I was having takeaway every other day, sometimes more. So making all these meals and freezing them helps. I've managed about one takeaway a week since cricket began. Well, that's good. I'm glad you're on the right path now, Nutley.
It's a decent effort. That I feel like I single-handedly propped Deliveroo up during lockdown. As Curran's in again, length ball just worked away into the leg side for no run by.
I certainly had more alcohol, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been to a pub yet. I am feeling the urge to go to a pub then.
It's weird. We were saying yesterday, like, people were worried about having a lot less money, but then because you're not going to the pub in this, I think a lot of people then found themselves just buying takeaways because they then had this money that they'd be spending in other things. But then, the share price.
So we're all skint, skint and fat and unhealthy.
Well bowled from Curran, full of length and swinging back. It's got out into mid wicket for no run by Shy Hope. I don't know if it's been quite cold in Manchester this week. Maybe they couldn't get like 4 jumpers knitted together quick enough for Akeem Cornwall to feel like it'd be warm enough out there.
Easy. So we've actually had a David Brookogram, so that's kind of a bit dodgy. But Windies wanted 4 pacers, and there hasn't been an official statement, but they wanted to keep the same 11.
Curran in again. That is another full ball swinging back into the right-handed Hope. That is worked out for 2. Ollie Pope runs down to back of square leg, collects him back into pocket.
And as we discussed yesterday, this resulted in probably in Gabriel being stiff and having difficulties, not performing as well as he did in the first test. Therefore,
strange to see Gabriel and Broad. Broad looked like he struggled a little bit this morning with his radar, and obviously Gabriel just decided to fire 2 at second slip, didn't he? Early.
Yes.
The old Steve Harmison.
Certainly one looked very much like that Harmison ball.
In comes Sammy Curran again. It's started pitched outside leg stump. Hits Pope on the thigh pad from the looks of it, and tidied up by Ollie Pope, but no run.
I'd say Hope looks slightly more wary of Curran's balls, actually. He's very, very jittery approaching them. It's quite an intriguing little bat as well. I think Brathwaite's an absolute candidate here for a hit wicket because he keeps on going further and further back into his crease. And when Bess is bowling, Hope looks jittery and nervous. I think it'll be interesting to see. I can see a wicket coming soon. Tensile there.
Clairvoyant.
Curran in again, full and just covered up by Hope. And gets up to mid-on for no run. I mean, sorry, Jules, carry on.
No, I say this is a farm and care, so this is a guaranteed century for the pair of them now. But
isn't it? Like, there's often you say, obviously, Joseph was looking to be quite aggressive and positive. if you start to cover up too much, then you can put yourself in such a negative mind frame that you then, as Curran's in again, full swinging back, and just as I say, they're blocking it too much. Pope whips it through mid-wicket for 2 as Chris Wokes. Alice Band Wokes, not a fan of that look for him, by the way. I was discussing with Lisa this morning.
I like his beard.
Strong beard, Alice Band, dreadful.
I'm not an Alice Band fan,
Yeah, they're so there's some real hairstyles at the minute, isn't there? Going on in the England team. But Don Best looks like his hair hasn't grown.
Maybe he's had someone cut it.
Unless he's giving it the old clippers in the hotel, just like on his own something. I don't know. Any more social media, Annie, while we're waiting for the...
Mike Taylor says, on the subject of putting the team on a bus, my mate's dad used to write Coronation Street in the 60s. He hated the cast, so put them all on a bus to Blackpool. He made the bus crash and killed them all off. He got fired.
Brilliant. In again, starting you over. That looks like a perfect line and length to me. It was 6 inches outside the off stump. Just kind of full of length, but right into, if you look where this is pitching, kind of just by Curran's footholes, and that's where a bit of turn and bounce. And then, kicked away from the stumps by Brathwaite. Best in again, similar kind of area, didn't turn quite as much, but much bigger stride forward there from Brathwaite, just blocked out into the offside for no run.
I think generally the Windies will be feeling a bit happier than England at the moment. We haven't made the enough breakthrough yet. We've only got rid of the night watchman.
As Best in again, probably too full, but worked forcibly, let's say, along the ground by Brathwaite, but up to Chris Wokes at mid-on for no run.
I think Brathwaite and Hope might disagree with you there, Andy. They look a little bit tense. It's quite interesting there. There was a shot there. Brathwaite went to run. It was like, oh, no. Go back again.
Best in again. Brilliant. Well bowled.
But they're only nervous one end, aren't they?
I think there's enough happening for England, the England boys, to be quite positive about the idea that they could get 18 wickets. But then, like you said, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if Root Bolt had a go in tandem with them.
Yeah, may well.
And again, 5th ball the over, and that's almost gloved, just short of Stokes round the corner. But again, for no run.
Bring Stokes here?
No. Sorry, that was out. Nope.
No, I'm not having that.
I just don't think it's a time mistake. What I can see, Hope is struggling against Curran and doesn't quite know how to read him, and Bess is Brathwaite struggling against Bess.
They need to swap ends then, really, don't they?
As Bess complete the over with another ball blocked back up the pitch for no run. Move on to 85 for 2, Brathwaite 23, Hope 12 not out. Any more social media for us, Annie?
Genro says, greetings rebels, I'm finally done pruning the murder berries out in the sticks and you have my undivided attention. Thank you very much. Thank you, that's excellent. Very pleased to have you along. Small Town Boy says, we all have booty calls that we regret later, breaking the bubble. I'm assuming he's talking about Archer there.
Possibly. Stuart Broad returning to the attack. We are jingling him up.
What would make Broad walk?
If his stumps were knocked down,
What would make Broad walk?
caught 5 feet off the ground,
What would make Broad walk?
if he trod on his
What
stumps,
would make Broad walk?
if God was one of the
What
arms,
would make Broad walk?
Broad walk.
What broad?
Still one of my favourite jingles, that one.
Very good, that one, isn't it?
So they've taken Curran off them.
Yeah, I think he's probably done his job, if that makes sense. So just creating a bit more rough for Best to try and utilise as Broad in, first ball a new spell, and just blocked out into the offside by Shy Hope for no run.
Best could bowl round the wicket though.
Yeah, then he's not, because Curran's not bowled enough. I don't think the rough is big enough for him to, if that makes sense. So I think from coming round the wicket, he'd have to pitch it on a flatter part of the wicket, if that makes sense. So it probably might not turn as much. It might bring the outside edge into play as well. But as Broad, looking like Sam Curran's bigger brother, into Hope, just worked off the back foot up to mid-on for no run.
I was saying to Hendo earlier that maybe we've got more hair on the pitch than since the 70s, I think.
Yeah, quite possibly, yeah. Although Lily, he was quite a hairy man, wasn't he?
The chest hair as well, I believe.
Chest hair, tash, all of it. Broad in again, full ball, and just blocked pretty solidly, you have to say, by Shy Hope out to the offside for no run. They look a lot more comfortable against the seamers, don't they? You know,
yes.
The more pace that's on the ball, they almost look like, okay, I feel like I can judge this easier. It doesn't seem to be swinging too much. Won't seem to get a bit out of the ball through the air this morning. But I think Bess is really key to any chance England have got here. Is Broads in again, and again solidly covered up by Shy Hope. Plays it under his eyes out to the offside for no run.
Knuckles says Lily, Marsh and Chappell all had the long hair, chest hair and tash in the 1970s. Lily also bowled with a headband. You can have worse looks, but I'm not liking these sort of tennis headbands very much.
Oh, I love it. It's like John McEnroe.
Did you have a bit of a thing for John McEnroe?
I was a bit too young, but it's quite. I just like it. It's just quite entertaining.
Gordon again past the umpire, full ball, and just pushed almost like half drive, half block up to Chris Wokes at mid-off for no run.
You just want those all-in-one sort of tracksuits, like Adidas tracksuits,
Yes.
you kind of get in the 70s, 80s, like a trainer. I'm trying to
With
remember
the chest hair coming down and out as well, of course.
Absolutely, or like a really sort of like washed-up boxing coat.
Yeah, and some dodgy-looking shades.
100% like aviators.
Yeah.
Brought in to complete the final ball of the 32nd, and that left alone, swinging away slightly by Hope for no run. Almost looked like he bowled that on purpose to keep Brathwaite on strike against Bess at the other end.
100%.
Yes. Crick Tracker, let me just say hello to a few on Crick Tracker. Sanjeev Sinj Sisodia says match drawn. SK Singh says hi. Nice to have you all on board at Crick Tracker. Hello.
I think it's only gonna. I think match drawn at this point is bold. I think the more that Bess could bowl all day from one end here quite comfortably. Probably with Root taking a few off him if he gets a bit tired. But the longer the game goes, the more up and down that it's probably going to get, and it's probably going to turn a bit more. Best in to start the next over, after which I will depart as he bowls that, and that is worked down to Ollie Pope at short leg on the bounce for no run. Dave Brooke to replace me at the end of the over. Annie, you're putting a huge shift in this morning.
I know. I am actually Gary.
Bess. Oh, Brathwaite actually gets off strike by just working one down into the back of the point region. They come through for an easily job run.
I don't have the voice for Gary, but I am actually Gary.
Oh, the knowledge of 1970s Lancastrian cricket.
It's definitely not. Yes, yes, I'm only here till lunch today, so obviously Hendo's put me in for
the seat for
my sins, yeah.
Third ball over, Best in. Oh, Hope absolutely laces in. Full ball through extra cover for one of these.
It's me, Sanshi. It's me, Sanshi.
Strange, considering how Brathwaite seems to have struggled, that Hope's just got down there and just walloped him for four first ball. Ball kind of almost half volley, wasn't it? But obviously trying to get it up there, give it a chance to turn. But I'd say a lovely positive shot.
Huge stride there.
Yeah. Pope's still wearing those orange Nike shoes that I swear have been out for about 7 years. He needs a new shoe sponsor.
Maybe they're his lucky shoes.
As best in, he's jumped a foot outside off some there to off the short leg.
I think he misread it a little.
I think he heard him. And it just jabs down on it. I mean, if he'd have missed it, it would have been outside the line playing a shot, so no chance of an LBW. But I think the England boy is just looking interested to maybe as the following ball. Don't mess with his head on his hands again. So that squirty and the thick inside edge fielded at mid wicket for no run. Just seen a replay of that now. Tiny bit uppish as Burns does the fielding. And Best in to complete his final over. Dave Brooke, I assume, on his way, and that is blocked right under his nose by Shy Hope, out into the offside for no run.
I see nothing with Dave Brooke.
Absolutely, yeah. Is Dave with us? Dave is with us. He is currently on mute, so we can't hear anything that he's saying. But I shall bid you adieu, and I will see you later on.
And I'll read a tweet. Mog says, another acceptable answer to why one didn't have a thing for McEnroe is having eyes and good taste. So there you are.
It's a bit strong.
Yeah.
Morning, Jules. Morning, Annie.
Morning, David. You are here.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, I was just being obediently on mute. I didn't want to talk over Jono.
How nice to see you, David.
And yourselves. And morning, everyone. I tell you, this is a good session, this, for West Indies. And good innings from Alzari Joseph. And now, and Hope, very encouragingly, Shy Hope, for West Indies. Shy Hope's looked really good this morning so far. Here's Bon Jovi. It's Stuart Broad bowls down the leg side. And there's no run. Yeah, I was interested in what you were saying, Annie, about, is this the most hair
yes.
On a cricket field for some time? Got to go back. See, my favourite cricketer of all time was actually John Snow, who was the first England cricketer to have long hair.
Hey.
And if you look at the team photos, sort of from the 60s, Snowy was growing his hair from 66 onwards, whereas everyone else had crew cuts until about 69. The swinging 60s passed the England team by, John Edridge.
Yeah. And then the 70s, there was long hair.
Oh yeah, everyone had the hair then. Down to the leg side, just Brathwaite plays it down, there's no run. Yeah, I mean, the 70s, it was, it was odd if you had a crew cut in the 70s. You had to be
military.
Probably a member of the Monday Club like Gaddafi.
The Afghanistan side do well with their hair though, and then there was Hamid Hassan, who was famed for wearing his headband and war paint as well when he used to run up and bowl and freak out some of the batters.
I mean, is it a fashion or just lack of preparation on England's part,
I think they weren't able to get to a barber.
Here's Broad bowls, and that's tucked away on the leg side again by Brathwaite comfortably. There's no one. Yeah, but they're bringing in the food, they're bringing in everything else. Couldn't they have brought in a biosecure barber? Yeah, because they've got the backroom staff is big enough.
But would you be sure enough that your barber was biosecure? Yeah, you'd have
Good
to.
Point well made.
Yeah, so maybe.
But I mean, I don't mind Stuart, and Jimmy Anderson. It didn't suit him, did it, in the last test? Let's face it. I thought that, unlike Sampson, it actually slightly
his strength was weakened.
Broad bowls, and Brathwaite covers up, plays that on the leg side, and there's no one. Brathwaite doing a very good impersonation of Don Sibley. In fact, you could say that Brathwaite is the original. And that Sibley is the imposter.
Yes, Martin Lawrence made that point. That,
yeah,
absolutely.
Because Brathwaite can bat all day, and it's a sign when he's in form that he's not in any hurry. He doesn't fish any outside the off stump. He leaves the ball. But Shay Hope has looked good since he came in.
Yeah.
Broad over the wicket to Brathwaite, who covers up, still in his sleeveless sweater, which I thank him for because it means that we can pick him out. Yes. From Shay Hope.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that Joseph did Hope a really good favour by staying in there for that length of time. So
definitely, the guys on Caribbean
from the Cricket Podcast, will you please? Because Nickel predicted that Alzari Joseph would score 30, so almost got it
not
spot
bad.
on. Almost got it spot on, and he did his job for sure. There's a big difference coming out when whether it was 70-80 for 2 than it was then coming out at 20 for 2. Here's Broad again into Brathwaite, and covers up, plays that on down to point. And there's no run. End of that over. Brathwaite's on 24. Hope is on 16. West Indies are 90 for 2. How do you see it going so far, Jules?
I have to say, when Alzari Joseph went out and then Hope came in, the scoring rate has really, really slowed down. Shai Hope is a little bit, in a sense, a bit of a Sibley situation. He's not scored that many runs going into this. His average has been quite low, so it's sort of a confidence builder, but he's had to face, I think he's actually quite struggled this morning and has been able to put away a couple of ropey balls that he's had to. I think one from Bess's over and one from Curran's. I sense we put a bit of a risk here by bringing Broad on, but Jono picked up on it. I'd quite like to have a spin at both ends and just see what happens.
Oh, a risk bringing Broad on. Has his stock fallen so low? Best bowls, and that's forward defensive from Hope. He looked pretty comfortable against that one. I mean, the thing with Shai Hope is that everyone's focusing on his run of Test match form, which is poor, but he's been absolutely prolific in one-day cricket, and he plays a Test match role in the one-day team. Everyone bats around him. He's averaging over 50 in the last year. Best bowls, and that is no shot from just again lets it hit his body. Hope he averages over 50 in ODIs. And he's been, one of the most prolific batsmen in the last year. So it's only in, and obviously West Indies haven't played that many Test matches. They don't play as many as England. That's given a bit more air by Bess, and that's played down to the. It's gone through for a boundary. I was going to say down to the fielder at deep square leg, but I think Wokes made a bit of a meal of that, didn't he? And is it Wokes? No, it's not.
Sibley.
It's Sibley. It's our friend Sibley.
Yeah, but he's very stiff, bless him.
Well, yeah, he should be. Let's have a jingle. Yeah, definitely a good choice there of jingle, because it was a bit Keystone Cop.
Yes.
Because he should have stopped that, really. Piece of fielding that Shannon Gabriel would have possibly improved on. That went for 4. It didn't look like it was going to go for 4. Down at deep square leg boundary, tucked away by Hope. It goes on to 20, and Best bowls, and that's forward defensive goes Shai Hope. I'm getting a bit of buffering on my video here. Is everyone else getting that?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Bit of local difficulty in the Oxfordshire area.
Is that rain this morning?
Here's Bessie bowls, and very straight bat from Hope. What do you think about this? The Zoom thing, Annie, doing this guerrilla from the comfort of your own home. Would you have preferred to have taken the intercity up this morning at 6 a.m?
But no, not at 6 a.m. definitely. But I'd have come up the night before. It's not the same.
And Bess gives that some air, and that's tucked away, played stroked away by Hope, and that is the end of the over.
Who
Jules.
is on tweets?
Annie, sorry, tweets. Who's on tweets now?
I'll carry on while I'm.
You're in the flow.
Muttley says, speaking of extra money due to not going out, my music collection has exploded since lockdown, and I haven't been going to gigs. I've been sharing my life's aim to own 11,680 albums by doing a monthly update on my Facebook page. I need to buy on average 1 album a day. So March got 57 albums, April 88 albums, May 88 albums, and June 26 albums. Okay, we were talking about the fact that lockdown has meant people spending less money. It's obviously not working for Muttley.
It's certainly not economising on the food, Muttley. Your daily dishes look amazing.
Yeah.
Here's broad bowls, and that's laid down by Brathwaite, and there's no run. Yeah, I've still got the old buffer here, so at the end of this over, I'm going to pass over to Knackle to do some ball by ball. I'm going to go out and come back in, just to see whether that improves the old signal.
We'll get a new David at the end, will we?
Yeah. Here's Brathwaite. He's on 24, Hope on 20. Brathwaite's waiting for Broad, and that's defensively by Brathwaite into extra cover. So Brathwaite 24 from, is that, can anyone read that?
90.
Is that 90?
90.
Yeah, that's a decent strike rate, moving towards the Sibley strike. But that's what West Indies need to do. They need to bat time. You feel that there's a lot less pressure on them today than there would have been yesterday because of that, extra day's rest and less time left in the match. They'll be eyeing that figure of 269 to avoid the follow-on. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Broad bowls to Brathwaite plays that one just behind square to Crawley. And of course a lot riding on this, because if England don't win this test match, they cannot regain the Wisden Trophy. If this was the Ashes, that's the only thing we'd be talking about. Because it's the Wisden Trophy, and because West Indies are holding it, no one even hardly mentions it. I mean, Gorilla, but no one's mentioned it. The other is that TMS station. Apart from Carlot. Carlot says that Shea Hope has promised him a big one. Carlos Brathwaite speaking to Shea Hope last night, so give me a big one. So he's going to take the credit. Short duck, Brathwaite ducks under it. No danger there from Broad. Who's, is he generating? I don't know what the speed gun would say about Stuart Broad. Have we had any readings this morning on the speed gun?
I haven't noticed actually.
No, we haven't. I mean, speed guns are notoriously temperamental things. So quite often you see the speed gun come up at the oval, and it's completely not reading the pace of the ball. There was an entertaining situation we had last year at a certain well-known test ground in London. That's not the oval, where it was set at miles per hour rather than clicks.
Broad to Brathwaite, and he drops that one between gully and point. There's a chase on for the fielder here, and a sliding stop from coming number 47, and they go for 3 to Brathwaite. Good running there. Brathwaite goes on to did I get that right? Yeah, 27 to Brathwaite, 20 to Hope. Who was number 27?
47.
47.
Bess,
yeah. So Bess has been kept busy in between overs. It shouldn't worry him. He's going to bowl a lot of overs today.
He's a young lad.
Well, he is.
Be nice a bit, but yes, they set the converter wrong, so it looked like all the fast bowlers were bowling at about sort of like 33 miles per hour, when that quite clearly wasn't the case. Just quite entertaining and confusing everybody in the stands.
Broad to finish this over, bowling to Hope, who covers up, plays forward defensive. So I'm going to pass over to Annie for some social media. I'm going to leave and see you at the end of the next over, and Knack will do the next over whilst I try and restore my picture.
Martin Lawrence says, Annie Chave on for the whole first session when I can listen. I couldn't wish for anything better. Thank you, Martin. Oh, how sweet.
Is Martin Lawrence the loveliest man on Twitter?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, guys.
He makes my day every day. He doesn't fail to say how much he loves us all, and it's just so sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you, Martin, for being you.
Morning, Jules, by the way. Or afternoon now, I should say.
Oh, afternoon. How you doing, Knuckle?
Yeah, pretty good. I think we've got an interesting test match ahead of us. West Indies 97 for 2, trailing by 372. Still a long way from that follow-on target. There's plenty happening out there for Dom Bess, and even the fast bowlers. I think Wokes and Broad bowled pretty well this morning. I think that's fair to say. And speaking of which, one of many cricketers who I think has improved with a beard comes back into the attack.
He's on Instagram, and he's a Twitter fan. On the Ashes tour, not Ben Stokes, but he'll have to do.
He's replacing Dom Bess at the James Anderson end. I think that Bess might be switching ends after this.
Do you reckon?
Wokes comes in, 2 slips in the gully to Craig Brathwaite. He's on 27 of 93. That keeps a little bit low and goes a bit leg-sidey. I think Brathwaite got a little bit of bat on that. There was a half appeal from Chris Wokes, but nothing doing from the umpire. Let's see if that's been given as leg buys or not. No, off the pad, but going down leg and a little bit high as well. So leg buys to Craig Brathwaite. Roston Chase was bowling from the Burn Statham end all of yesterday, whereas Bess has been bowling from the James Anderson end. So I guess you just see if there's something else happening from the other end. And England have got plenty of runs to play with, 99 for 2, 370 behind. Wokes into Brathwaite. That's short down the leg side. A big appeal from Joss Butler that no one else seems remotely interested in, least of all Michael Goff. They're having a little bit of a discussion. England do have 3 reviews remaining, of course, having got a successful one yesterday to get that wicket of John Campbell. Root is trying to... I thought he was trying to waste time there for a second, but at the very last minute, Joe Root, drama queen, has gone for the review.
That was out. That was out. That was definitely out.
Was that definitely out?
I don't know.
Umpire's call, maybe?
Wokes doesn't look convinced at all, does he?
No, he doesn't, although the bowlers don't always get it right, as we saw with Curran basically thinking Joseph had hit it last ball the other night. That's got to be going down leg and too high, surely. This is a desperate review. Oh no, of course, we're going for a catch down leg, apologies. I don't know what that's hit. It has hit nothing. So England lose the review. It's missed the outside edge. It's missed the glove. It might have flicked the pocket. No, it's not even flicked the pocket. So I think Joss Butler has done England out of a review there. England lose a review. They have 2 left, but West Indies survive.
So is Stokes is vice captain for this, or is it Butler that's vice captain?
Stokes.
But
So Stokes is Stokes is far better at calling the reviews than Root is. Root is too much of a diplomat. He looks at everybody, he wants to get a view, where Stokes is like, yep, no, we're going for this. He's far more decisive.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the wicketkeeper plays a huge part in reviews because they're in the best position to see it. But that didn't hit anything, as it turns out. West Indies 99 for 2 slips and a gully point with his hands in his pockets, which is not ideal for someone fielding in that position, or any position. Wokes short outside off stump, and that is crashed by Craig Brathwaite. Not a particularly good delivery, and Brathwaite hammered that backward of square. Really good shot by Craig Brathwaite. He moves into the 30s, 4 runs.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Beats the dive at Dom Bess, who may be coming on from the other end. We shall see. Craig Brathwaite has looked far more secure in this series than he has for any of the last 2 years. Scored a good 50 in the first innings at Southampton, having not scored a 50 for 2 years before that. 3 balls left of this over. Hopefully David Brooke will be able to resume his stated duties after this. A little bit of swing, but too short again, and that's an even better shot from Craig Brathwaite on the back foot, punching this in front of square this time. Long and futile chase, back-to-back boundaries for Craig Brathwaite. Wokes not finding his line.
No, he's not. He's going too far off the off stump, and I'd just say it's a bit short, and it's an absolute gimme. It's taken the pressure off, because there was a slight intensity building when you've had... I say the most of it was with Curran and Best bowling, and it slightly eased a little bit with Broad, and now you're just kind of thinking, slightly giving runs away. Well, England are here anyway.
Yeah, I mean, giving runs away in search of wickets is no bad thing. Slightly tighter to off stump, but still a little bit short, and swinging away, but mostly after it passed the stumps through to Joss Butler. There is no run. Yeah, I think Broad's bowled pretty well, actually. He could have had Alzari Joseph out with that one that was that flew a little bit too fast to Ben Stokes, who was probably standing slightly too close at slip, and he clonked Joseph on the head as well. I don't know, I think Stuart Broad is never too far away from bowling a brilliant spell, and he's been superb for England since the start of 2019. Last ball of this is a rather underwhelming over from Chris Wokes, and that's a fairly underwhelming end, apart from that bit of good fielding by Dom Bess to stop any runs diving around from backward point. Plenty of runs off that over. The West Indies 107 for 2 now, and hopefully we welcome back David Brooke.
What have I missed?
A bad over from Wokes.
So what? Poor bowling, good batting.
Poor bowling, good batting, both. Barry Goodman says, couldn't they at least have a barber wearing a hazmat suit coming in to cut their hair? I don't know quite what. Couldn't they have had their hair cut between tests as well? That's what I was thinking. Somewhere.
Maybe in Brighton.
Maybe that's where Archie was going to get his hair cut.
163 more to avoid the follow-on. 107 for 2 West Indies, and Dom Bess is 8 overs 1 for 19.
Knuckles called that right. He's coming down
from the other end.
Yeah.
Switched ends.
Yeah.
So which end is he on now? I'll ask you in a moment. Here's
Statham.
best bowls to Hope. Plays it down the leg sides. No one from the Brian Statham end. There's a man who would never have dreamed of coming on to the cricket field without a crew cut. Can you imagine Statham coming in with his hair over his collar? Just imagine it. Never would have happened. Would have been looked odd in 1958 as well. Here's best bowls, and Hope plays that to mid-wicket. There's no run. This is the end that... Sorry, Jules.
No, carry on.
I was going to say, this is the end that Roston Chase bowled for, and I want to invite that comparison in a moment between Roston Chase and Dom Bess, because this has been a subject of discussion. Bess bowls, and that's played out into mid-wicket and so on. There's been a lot of chat, and I heard this morning about Raheem Cornwall not being in the team. And there's a tendency to regard Roston Chase as, less than a frontline bowler. I've heard him described as a part-time bowler, which is pretty odd for someone that bowled 47 overs or whatever in the first innings. But if you actually look at the first class and test match records of Bess and Chase, they're pretty similar. Bess 5 tests averaging 13 wickets. Roston Chase 33 test matches, 61 wickets at 42. So obviously Bess is making his way in the game. Roston Chase has got more experience. Here's Bess, and that's down the leg side. A tumble from the short leg. Was that a possible chance at short leg? Ollie Pope's in there under the vice. So let's have another look. Jules, what happened here?
So it just gets played. Oh, it's actually bounced just before Pope's right hand. So it's
not a chance.
It looked like a chance, but actually on sort of slow mo, not really. Just bounced beforehand. But it's asking the question.
Reach, definitely.
So in first class cricket, hold on. Next ball is defensive from Hope. In first class cricket, Dom Bess, 123 wickets at 28.7. Chase 136 wickets at 32.3. There's not a lot in it, they're both obviously Chase much better batsman than Bess.
How can you say that?
With ease. Bess bowls anyone who was surplus to requirements at Somerset last year. There's a sweep. It's going to go all the way down to the deep square leg boundary for 4 runs.
The number of the day. Who could ask for more? The number of the day is 4.
I mean, Annie, if Roston Chase was your overseas player, would you have loaned him to Yorkshire for the season? No. Would he have been playing second 11 cricket on a Bunsen burner?
Had a bad season.
I don't understand that. You've got a Bunsen burner down at Taunton, and you lend out Bess to Yorkshire for half the season when he
had a bad season. He was in the seconds for a lot of it, so he wasn't playing well.
Right. Okay.
After playing for England, he had a bit of a bad time, so that's why he went to get a bit more play,
first team experience.
David Brooke, you're a brave man taking on the Somerset faithful. I mean, I was just to sit down, hold my hands up, and I'll just leave you with that one. Good luck, son, and I'll send the bodyguard round later.
If anyone could do it, David could.
Wokes to Brathwaite calls Chase for a quick single. They get it with ease. I think it's because we're on Zoom that I feel kind of insulated.
It's like being in a
car. I can't get a kick on the ankle. I can't even a filthy look isn't going to carry as much.
Weight. It would go to everybody, wouldn't it? Just go to
exactly. You can't give a filthy look to one person in particular. You'd have to give it to the entire gorilla. And I know you wouldn't do that, Annie, so I'm on safe ground. I'm going to pick on Butler in a moment.
You're not.
I am.
Easy, son. Just a quick warning for everybody, 17-minute GPL warning, so do get involved and make your predictions this morning.
Yes indeed.
3 entries so far, get in there.
Predict number of runs scored in the day. Here's Wokes, he bowls, and that's outside the off stump. Hope leaves. He's on 24, and Brathwaite's on 36. Now, I'm not going to pick on Joss. I'm going to talk instead, Annie, as an olive branch. I'm going to ask you if you're looking forward to the resumption of the county cricket season with the Bob Willis Trophy.
I am, of course I am. I think I'll find it a little bit frustrating not being able to go along. That's but I presume that the live feed will be going.
Indeed, all the counties will have that. Wokes bowls, and that beats the outside edge of Hope's. That's a good ball from Wokes. Beat
better
him,
line.
all ends up better line, and it did a little bit, moved away, and he had Hope reaching for that. It didn't miss by very much. So why did the ECB not want it to have first-class status, the Bob Willis Trophy? I couldn't understand that. Why are the ECB so reluctant to have given this first-class status? The counties had to really argue for it. And why was the chairman, Colin Grave, I'll pause for a moment, as Wokes bowls, and again has Hope a little bit of difficulty there. Hope managed to get it up to mid-off and no run. Why did Colin Grave not want any 4-day cricket? Why did he want only 50 over cricket? Why was he lobbying the county? I mean, what's going on? You know, and this is the man who's going to be running ICC in the future, a man who doesn't seem to have any respect for Test or first-class cricket.
Yeah, well,
do we have a jingle that says money, money, money?
Yes, it's obviously the first. Yeah, I mean, 1-day cricket is more profitable.
Wokes bowls and Hope angles that, gets that off the slight thick edge, goes down to Crawley at well, in the gully, first bounce. So he just squared him up a bit. So Wokes he'll be encouraged by this over, and England fans will be encouraged as well because didn't bounce that much in front. Jules, can I ask you to talk us through that?
Yeah, it just sort of really kept quite low to the ground and sort of came off the toe end of the bat and just skidded along. So didn't really do much. We're coming up to the final ball of the over from Wokes. It's coming down now.
Here he is to Hope, and Hope leaves it outside the off stump. So Hope's on 24, Brathwaite's on 36. West Indies 112 for 2. Andy, you're going to be making it to the Oval for the friendly between Middlesex and Surrey that has been given official trial status.
I think they'll probably be inviting select people, like fans. I should imagine. I think I'd love to, but
it's going to be a ballot. Yeah, there's going to be a ballot.
I mean, it should go to the Surrey and the Middlesex fans, surely.
But I think you've got to be. We're talking about this with a couple of colleagues that are involved with the Surrey setup, and it's. If you look at the membership, the majority of the Surrey membership are, they've got time to go to cricket, and it's going to be sort of over 60s, so potentially people in risk categories. I'll let you commentate on the first ball from Bess.
Lost from Chase, bowls, and that's played out by Brathwaite. He's nicely found the gap. There's runs here. Stuart Broad's in pursuit. They're going to take at least 2, and Broad turns and throws. Easy 2 for Hope, who moved. No, that's 3 to Brathwaite, who goes on to 39.
If anyone wants to offer up a ticket to me, I'd be more than happy to go.
But I think people have got to be sensible about it, because at the moment you can't really use public transport. There is no parking at the Oval. If you're looking at the local demographic of the Oval, the majority of people there probably won't be able to go and watch cricket. It's quite sort of a young demographic. So it's just who exactly is going to be watching this match, who can actually go and attend.
It seems a bit of an interesting choice. They'll have plans.
Best to Hope. And Hope plays that to mid-wicket, and there's no run. Jules, do I detect from those comments that you're not a Surrey member?
So I'm involved with Surrey insofar as sort of doing coaching and bits of scoring.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I see it.
Right, and Best bowls, and back foot is Hope down to cover, there's no run. So you have a view of the membership that you're saying they're all over 60, the members?
No, I'm not saying they're over 60. I'm not saying they're over 60s. What I'm trying to say is, I'll let you comment on this ball.
Okay. Before I pick a fight with you instead, Jules. And that's down the leg side. The pill for catch behind. And is Bess interested? Bess is going to come down and have a word with Joss Butler. And don't think Joe Root is sufficiently interested to ask for review, unless I've missed a sign. No, he's put his hands conspicuously behind his back. Jules, sorry.
No, it's all right. Well, we're going for a Sun-style scoop. I think we need to be sort of realistic about who is going to be able to take the 4 days out to go and watch the games.
Here's Bess.
It's a 2-day game, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a 2-day game, and attending for 1 day is acceptable down the leg side, and there's no run. You haven't got to sign up for the 2. You make it sound like punishment.
No, but I think this is like a precursor to the Bob Willis Trophy. So you've got the trial coming on for the 2 days for Surrey Middlesex. You've then got the test crowd, as in let's see if you can have crowds in a match. It's very difficult to commentate on this when you've got a spinner on, actually.
Yes.
Bess gives that some air, and Hope covers up, plays it straight on the ground to short leg, and there's no run.
Right, for the benefit of people who maybe not caught up with the news or outside the UK, so they're saying that they want to allow crowds into sporting venues going up into sort of October period, and actually they're going to be using the 2-day sort of matches at Surrey, Middlesex, and potentially some of these 4-day Bob Willis games as being some of those the test grounds, because let's face it, county cricket doesn't pull that big of fans unless you're up in Yorkshire and it's at Scarborough. So it's
Have you been to Hove recently, Jules?
I have, and there was one
Somerset.
dog there.
Have you been to Taunton recently?
And I've also been to Somerset, and I can say the same thing. So
guys at Canterbury might have something to say about that as well.
Guys, get real with county cricket, but I mean, but I think it's just who did first.
Here's Wokes bowling a new over now. Brathwaite plays that down to. I couldn't quite see what happened to that one with the old buffering there.
He played it down to point. It was picked
you.
up low to the ground. It didn't take a run, so drop ball. But we were just talking with a couple of Surrey colleagues. You know, who's actually going to be able to go and watch the games, able to do it safely, and also, I mean, speaking to a couple of the scorers that have been involved with warm-up matches and indeed the first test, there is very strict protocols about how you can manoeuvre around the ground, the contact that you can have with players, what footsteps you follow around the ground.
Waits for Wokes, that's way down the leg side, and Butler manages to collect, and there's no run.
I think we need to be very realistic. It is fantastic to have cricket back, and it's fantastic to watch cricket, but you know, there is a global pandemic going on, and the World Health Organization is making people aware that actually the number of infections are rising with lockdown restrictions. That we just need to, we're at a very fine balance here. We just need to be careful.
Absolutely right, we do.
Here's Wokes to Brathwaite. Brathwaite covers up, plays that down the leg side, and there is no run. Knuckles making a sign to me, and he's asking whether I like a cup of tea. No, it's a potential review. Talk us through this. Someone who saw the picture more clearly than I did.
So the sort of the way the ball went, it sort of clipped him, I would say, at the top of his thigh pad. I would really say this was far too high. It was going down leg side. They're all looking around. They never ask Stokes in these situations who's the most decisive man. Root's trying to be the
It's going
diplomat.
down as well.
It's absolutely going down. It's a very optimistic shout. This is where it's absolutely from LBW, but I would say that it's optimistic. So pitching outside off, impacting line, but the wicket is umpire's call. And it was given, not out, so we move on. I don't think they reviewed it, so are we coming in? This is Wokes' fourth ball of the over. It pitches just short, and it's just defended back by Brathwaite. He's on 39, and Wokes returns back. It's a completely correct decision by the umpire there. It's quite interesting, actually, to see the umpiring decisions. I think very much at Southampton, they were getting the feel back into it again. There were a few decisions that were overturned. I remember, was it Anderson, where there was a couple of decisions where I thought, he's going to absolutely blow a casket there. But the umpires looked far sharper. Wokes comes back in for the fourth ball of the over. This is played away, sort of down to square leg. It is picked up and thrown back into the keeper by Best. They've taken a couple of runs there. The score goes on to 117 for 2. We've got one ball left, and West Indies trails by 352. Can
I give a quick plug to the lunchtime feature? We got a batting, Toby Radford's batting booth. With the return of recreational cricket, Toby's going to cast his eye over any videos or stills you'd like to send us. Send them to guerrillacricket@gmail.com if you'd like Toby Radford to analyse your batting.
Fantastic. Wokes comes in for the final ball of the over. It pitches just in front of middle stump. It's batted back down again by Brathwaite. It's the end of the over. It's 5 minutes to lunch. West Indies are 117.
And I have a million
overs.
To catch up
Go
on.
on, Annie.
Yeah. Mog says, I heard Martin Lawrence was responsible for the French defeat at Agincourt. That's how nice he is. There you are. I think we bigged you up quite a lot, Martin. Leah says, can you please give broad spell in Quelcam pronounced Kelikam for us Klingons? Sorry. We're a bit
Good
behind.
Luck, Annie.
We got a bit distracted. David, I blame David. Richard Barber. Durban Oak says, afternoon, we're doomed. Excellent to get that in. Leah says, So what you're saying is basically that Stokes is Commander Riker, always doing the difficult stuff, while Root is captain. Janeway basically useless and definitely not qualified to be captain. I think that's what Jules is saying, definitely. Ralph for Wonder Llama says, afternoon grillers, afternoon everyone, this is going to be a draw, isn't it? I think it's heading that way. Arman says, Dom best average 65 this series, better than Roston Chase's average, which is 42. Thanks for that.
We're having a nice little disinfecting of the ball here. This is a great example for every umpire and indeed every club cricketer that didn't observe the rules yesterday for not disinfecting the balls. Of actually, this is how you disinfect the ball.
Every 20 minutes we did it.
We've lost David temporarily. He'll be back on for the lunchtime chat with Toby Radford, analysing your techniques. Jules, you've been doing a fine job on ball by ball. You want to carry on till lunch, and I'll summarise.
Why the devil not? I'll carry on. We've got Bess coming in to bowl here. There's just a little bit of chatter going on while they're working out what they're doing here. As the spinning ball of Bess. I love how spinners always say, look, I'm a spinner, but I spin the ball before they bowl it. Pitch is just outside the off stump. It goes just towards a nearby fielder and gone back to Bess. No run taken.
It's good delivery from Bess. Lovely bit of dip and drift and just on the bounce of short leg. Brathwaite is looking... Hope is looking slightly more comfortable against Bess than Brathwaite did, but not that much.
Second ball of the over. Players around the bat. It is defended just on the offside. No run taken. And a real sort of sturdy look there by Hope to say that I'm going to face this. You're not going to beat me.
Yeah.
As Sibley wipes the sweat away from his brow. There was a fantastic little bit of, I'll just comment on that, the third ball of the over. Bess comes back in again. It's played down on the offside, just slightly going to a short cover position and fielded back to the bowler. They were talking about the use of sweat on the ball, which I think Sibley is building up to there, but they're actually saying that Bess was the most sweatiest man, and they were using his back,
the anti-Alistair Cook.
Yes, yes. He's got the bushy hair.
And fourth ball of the over. It's played just down on the leg side. It looks like that was fielded back by Chief Sweater, or second Chief Sweater, Sibley. It does amaze me that you just see the ball sort of going between players when technically it shouldn't be going between players as much. As Bess comes in for the fifth ball of the over, being faced by Brathwaite, who again just nicely defends that. It's being pitched outside, just outside off stump, and he's reading the spin a bit better than he was, I think, at the start of Bess's spell. He was retreating back, wasn't he?
It's a little bit quicker and flatter from Bess, and Brathwaite was a little bit hurried. Joe Root I saw warming up.
We thought about Root coming on the other end, didn't we?
Final ball at the over, and that's just batted back to Bess, the bowler, by Brathwaite. The score is 182 or 42 overs. West Indies trail by 351. It looks like we are going to have another over before lunch, and it does look like we're going to get our wish.
Yeah, I think this is not a bad call, and I would like Joe Root to go round the wicket. Whether he will or not, we'll see.
His voice is high-pitched and ginger hair like a picked, but massive runs he has hit, so there's that. Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root, actually.
Joe Root looks like he's aged. It may not be anything to do with
being captain and being father.
Well, I think it was down to Sibley, actually. He was looking quite fresh face at the start of this.
There was one point where I think it was where it might have been when Sibley got his 50, where Joe Root banged on the window as though he'd been trapped in the dressing room.
Let me out! Let me out! So we've got Shy Hope facing this over.
Joe Root's first ball as a father of two.
Yeah.
So it's facing this over just before lunch, and Root is coming round the wicket. It is defended back and fielded by Root, although Hope has also just come up there just to help and assist Root with picking up the ball from the ground for reasons completely unknown. So we have got 2 slips. Oh no, bear with me. That has just been, again, batted sort of down to a mid-office position. So we've got a leg slip, we've got a first slip, so we've got Burns at
and a short leg.
Short leg. And I think we've got Pope also around the back, just putting that pressure on Hope. Second ball is just batted back to a mid-wicket position. Again, it's trying to put the pressure back on Hope here with the spinner. So I think it's just quite smart cricket from England here. Comes in for the fourth ball of the over. Again, just batted back down to Sibley, who's come up from parading
Just
the
very
boundary.
quickly, it's Burns at first slip, Stokes at leg slip, Pope at short leg, and Sibley at short mid wicket. Ooh.
Coming round again, that's just played actually on the offside and defended away. It's really got Hope questioning here. I think he was starting to look at some of the seamers this morning and taking the runs, but actually having the spin from both ends is suffocating, and that looks like it's going to be the final ball before lunch. It's defended quite calmly away by Hope there. He remains on 25. That's a maiden over there, bowled by Root. Welcome back to Test cricket.
Yes.
With his bowling. And this session is up, so we are heading to lunch. 29 overs. There was 86
Windy session.
runs and 1 wicket. Run rate of 2.97. So, I mean, I think as Annie has called it there, I would say very much West Indies session in terms of dealing with Don Best pretty well and putting away some of the more rougher balls from the seaming bowlers. Annie, you've started to give your indication there. What do you think?
Wow, I'm think definitely the West Indies session. They've only got rid of the night watchman. They haven't bowled badly, and Dom's looking dangerous. But I think the West Indies would be perfectly happy with that. But just keep batting.
Yeah.
And for all the status out there, just to say that Brathwaite's on 41 runs and Shai Hope is on 25.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, for England, it's sort of the same in reverse. It's keep bowling. There's plenty happening out there. There's bounce, there is turn. Best is getting the ball to turn from not even out of the foot marks off the main part of the pitch. And even Joe Root got the odd one to turn and bounce, even though he's bowling very, very flat. Broad could easily have had a couple of wickets. Woke's bowled a couple of beauties. Not seen Stokes yet. We'll see how much he bowls. Sam Curran got the ball to swing. This is the... West Indies are in a good position, 118 for 2. Need another 152 to avoid the follow-on, but you wouldn't be terribly surprised if 2 or 3 wickets go down within 30 runs if one does go down shortly after lunch. There's a long way to go in this game, although I believe the draw is favourite with the bookies and certainly with WinViz. So thank you to Annie and thank you to Jules. Annie, is the last we'll see of you for today.
I think I'm staying on a bit with David.
You're staying on with David, excellent. Okay, in which case, Jules, go and have a little bit of lunch, and then we'll invite in Dave Brooke and joining us once again in the batting booth, Toby Radford.
Yes, thanks very much, Knuckle. Yes, we're very pleased to have with us Toby Radford, formerly was West Indies batting coach, of course, and just until the World Cup, so knows these players really well. So, Toby, let's first start, before we move on, let's start by asking you about Brathwaite and Hope. What are the signs? Are you encouraged by what you've seen this morning, particularly from the out-of-form Shai Hope?
Very pleased all round. I think it's a good morning, to come in just losing the 1 wicket. Alzari Joseph, who did it, really performed his role well as night watchman, hung around, got 30 odd, clearly can bat, as we know. So I thought he did well, and starting to build a good partnership now, Shai and Craig. Shai looked a little bit tentative early on, pushed to that one that spun through the gate, went over the top of the stumps. But I think since then he's started to look more at home. He's got his feet moving a little bit better, looking a bit more comfortable. And anytime they've over-pitched, he's got his trademark cover drive. So he's looking in better form now.
And what about Craig Brathwaite? Are you happy with what you've seen from Brathwaite?
Yeah, look, he has, as we talked about in preview before the game, he has a very simple game plan. He looks to lead generally outside off stump. If you come a bit straight, he'll work you and nerdle you into the leg side. I thought he got a couple of nice back foot punches away today, a couple of lovely shots. If you got a bit fuller and a bit straighter, he can occasionally just play around that front pad. I'm sure that's what England are trying to target. They're not going there all the time. It's going to be the surprise ball, but the wicket ball for them is, keep it in a channel, and eventually a bit fuller, a bit straighter, and hope he falls across one. And from Craig's point of view, he's just got to make sure he keeps getting back into the ball.
Toby, we're going to start because we're going to have a bit of a batting clinic this morning, and we're going to cover the whole range. We're going to start by looking at the West Indies batters, and then we're going to look at one video nasty of a recreational cricketer, and then a young cricketer who is I think Anislat. Annie, who does your son play for?
He just plays for a friendly team in Devon.
Right. Okay, well,
Right.
We're going to have a look at him in a moment. But let's start by looking at these the 6 West Indies batsmen. Talk us through this, Toby, and the work that you've done on their technique. What's the common link here?
On the footage I'm seeing here,
we've got a still of the 6 West Indies batsmen on screen that we can't see, but everyone else can, unless, of course, you're listening to us on the Batsman Radio.
I think the work over the last couple of years with the top 6 really has been mainly in the setups, in trying to get to a position where at release of the ball, the head and the back foot are generally close to in and around off stump. And if you look at world's best players, whether it's Stokes, whether it's Kane Williamson, whether it's Steve Smith or Labuschagne last year with Australia, you'll find the world's best generally back in and around off stump, because that's the business area. That's where most bowlers are going to be pitching, in and around. And of course, if it's fast, you haven't got to move a lot. All you've got to do is transfer your weight forward and back. Anything outside your eye line, is missing the stumps. And you saw with Sibley in the first innings, he left a lot of balls in that channel, and it's a mark of a good player that they know where their off stump is. So that's the first thing, really looking at that, and trying to create that on the line. So the importance of in that setup, being able to move, so you're balanced, trying to have your head over your feet. So I talk about a sort of an imaginary straight line. If you drew a line down between your eyes, it would go, your hands would be close to your body, the line would go from your head through your hands and into your feet, and that allows you to move quickly forward and back. So often you'll hear commentators saying, I wish they'd move forward, I wish they'd get forward. Sometimes you can't if the starting position doesn't allow you to do that. So you want to be very balanced in how you start so that you can then move quickly. And the quicker the bowling, obviously, the quicker you've got to be able to move. So that's generally it. In and around off stump, hands in close, head over your feet at ball release, and really having your bat accessible to the ball all the time. I mean, I posted something on my batting website a few days ago about work we did with Craig Brathwaite in recent years, where he used to get his hands away from his body and the toe of the bat used to go behind his back, and you sometimes see that with batters. And then to access the ball, the bat's actually got to come around the body, and by the time it gets there, it's in the
So I think we're about to go to one of the video nasties now, and let's look at a recreational player at the very bottom of the pyramid, the ECB pyramid. You can't get much. Oh no, we're going to go back to the still of the 6. We got the still of the 6. Sorry, Knackle. No, hold on. Knackle's going to tell me. In fact, Knackle, I'm going to bring you on to Mike here as well, just to talk us through the visuals, because I'm seeing something else. We
go now to said video nasty from somewhere in the Sussex region, I believe.
It's actually in Oxfordshire, Wolvercote Cricket Club, and this is a third team player. Let's have a look at him. Has he got any chance of getting out of the third team, do you think? Let's have a look at this. An over that he's going to face in the nets here. Incidentally, if you've got anyone out there's got a video they want to send in to Toby, send it to guerillacricket@gmail.com. Just email us. Okay, so here's the we're just seeing this. Oh, it's me. Yes, it's me. I am the third team player. Toby, have I got any chance of getting out of the third team with this technique?
Yes, you have. There's always a chance. Never give up hope, right? Never give up hope. Looking at you, David. Your back foot is
very mind you're defending about the width of 5 stumps.
Exactly. Yeah, and the further that back foot takes your outside leg stump, the more you're now playing across the wicket. And if you're playing across the wicket to balls in the corridor just outside off stump, you're really playing with half a bat. So the minute, again, that back foot comes across, then you're playing with a wider width of bat, you're aiming straighter, you become a lot safer. You only really want to be aiming square when the balls are a little bit wider, unless it's very firmly to work.
I've come down the wicket there.
It's 13 cricket.
Yeah, it's 13. Is that Jono giving us some heckling? Yeah, someone's doing some heckling there from the green room. I think it could be Jono, who is he's at the top end of the pyramid as far as club cricket's concerned.
I think the video person needs a bit of training as well.
It's moving around a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, it's moving around a lot. Okay, now we're going to. And you, because Toby, you do this for, you do this professionally now as well, don't you? You provide this service, Toby Radford, cricketcoaching.com, and you send the video into, you analyse it, come back with some pointers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, basically, it was something I was doing, when I was with the West Indies. I was living in Cardiff after series. Guys were going back to the Caribbean islands. I was coming back to Cardiff, and it was a way of me keeping in touch with Holder and all the other boys. And it worked well. And when we went into lockdown, a long time ago now, 3 or 4 months ago, I thought it'd be a nice service to add to my hands-on coaching. No coaches were getting access to players. Players weren't getting access to coaches. So I opened it up and I started getting videos in from India and Caribbean, Australia, all different parts of the world.
So is there a quality threshold below which you don't go? And have I reached it?
No, you haven't. You're. I've got to be honest, Dave. You're probably on the lower end, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. As I said, there's always hope, right? There's always hope. Not at
his age, there isn't, surely.
Well, where there's life, there's hope. No, but that's a good point. That's a good point, because with the likes of your Denleys, is it? Can you say a player of more advanced years? Are they capable of improving their game? So with this was under the Joe Denley, Shamar Brooks, another one who's made his debut at 31. Are these guys capable of making improvements to their technique as much as, say, a 21, 22-year-old?
Absolutely. It's all about, firstly, it's about spotting the areas that they really need, highlighting the area that you need to work on. And it's all about, for me, getting to root cause. What is the main issue here? That if you sort that out, like a set of dominoes, everything else, everything else sort of fits in and fits together. And then it's having the drills, knowing the right drill to work on to really hone in on that problem. I think I posted something last week about Joe, right? I've said to you before, I think he's a fine player, just gets to these 30s, does a lot of hard work and then doesn't go on. But actually, you can help his balance. There are drills to do, quite easy ones on a bowling machine, where you take the pace down, you up the swing, and you put cones in certain areas to hit through. And in doing that, you naturally improve your balance. So at ball release, you don't fall with your head outside your feet, so that Shannon can get his, nip one back through the gate. You're more balanced, and you can get a full bat back on that ball. That is so doable. It's spotting the issue, and then it's highlighting it with really purposeful practice.
But thank you for that, Toby. That's a crumb of comfort for me. But let's go to the junior end of the spectrum. Annie, just talk us through. This is your lad we're about to see now. Those of you watching on YouTube, Facebook Live. If not, we'll try and describe what's going on if you're listening to us on TuneIn or the website. Annie, tell us about your lad. Sort of how old is he, and what? Where's he? What's his highest score?
Well, yeah, he's 21. He has 3 centuries, and he refuses to play league cricket. Really, he only plays friendly cricket. He's a right-handed person, a left-handed batsman. He bowls right-handed, and this is a 2020 match that we're seeing here. So he can accelerate quite fast, but he also is an opener, and he takes his time.
I don't know if you're able to see that, Toby, on screen now.
I haven't. I've just got all the adverts coming.
You just got the ads. Yeah. No, we need to. We needed to fire you up with a second screen on YouTube, and you could see the output as going on. Annie's going to have to talk us through this vid. Can you see it, Annie?
The video?
Yeah.
I can't see the video at the moment. I can only see the still.
Knackle, you can see it. You can talk us through it. Knackle's going to provide some commentary.
Well, it is only a still, and
still.
It is only a still. It's an attractive looking sort of lofted drive, I think. So you say it's a T20 match. This doesn't look like the shot of a player who's taking his time in this moment. It's quite an elegant looking drive, but unfortunately you can't actually see the ball, so you've got absolutely no idea where the batter's made contact.
I think the next one does have that. I think there's another one.
Yes, it does. And if you've got the YouTube stream up, any of you, switching to the next one, this is more of a flat bat, I would say. The ball has gone aerial, so perhaps a decent contact, but depending on whether how far back the mid-on is, this could be trouble for your lad. But obviously, with Toby unable to see it, this is of limited value.
No, well, what we'll do is we'll make sure that Toby is sent all the material. And Toby, could you do us, one of, maybe for the next, next time we have Annie on, you would very kindly do one of your critiques. Yeah, because what Toby does is he takes a couple of stills and then annotates them and points out any flaws or any issues in the technique. Can I ask you a question, Toby, about the other opening bats from the West Indies, John Campbell?
Yeah.
Who does seem to have slight flaw in his technique. When he defends, he's great on the attack, but when he defends, he's looking like he's very vulnerable. He was out LBW, similar way perhaps the last test. Is there I know you haven't worked with John really. Have you spotted any issues there?
Dave, I have, and funnily enough, I have, and I looked and actually was in touch with him a couple of nights ago, and I won't tell you what I said to him because it would be unfair, and he's got a second innings. I hope he's going to go and get some runs. One of the things I have noticed with him is he has the same setup if he's facing a right arm over as he has when he then faces either the right arm going around the wicket or Curran coming from around the wicket. And generally you look at two setups. Most batters will have one alignment if they're facing a right arm over, and then they'll come across in their guard and they'll have a slightly different setup when they're facing from around the wicket. He tends to have one setup.
Is he getting far enough forward? He just seems to be a walking LBW candidate at the moment.
He's not getting far forward, but there's an issue as to why that's happening further in the chain. So there is something that's happening with him. But I don't really want to mention it because I mentioned it to him privately. I want to give him a good chance. I don't want to get him
absolutely.
Because he's got a second innings here.
I'd love guerrilla cricket to be able to have such an impact. To undermine an opposition's opening batsman. A lot of England fans listening to this would be happy if we had that.
But it's very interesting, though, Dave. In the same way that I would analyse, and other people, of course, their analyst is looking at these things, and it's very interesting with England. Very early on in this series, they've gone round the wicket to him. They haven't posed as much of a problem from over the wicket. The minute they've gone round the wicket, they've either hit him on the thigh pad or the pad, or they got through. Didn't they? Got the LBW of Curran, took a few balls away, nipped one back. So they clearly feel that is the area, and to be honest, that is where he's got to hone in. Because there's no doubt that's where they're going. They're going for the stumps or the pads from around the wicket.
I mean, do you think West Indies will give John Campbell, the series, because he did well in that in the series in the Caribbean last year, getting to 40 odd in aggressive fashion. Do you think they'll give him the series, regardless?
Well, look, they've got a lot of batters in form waiting to come in. There's a bit of quality actually sitting on the bench. So, I hope he gets a bit of a run because he is a good player, and there's no doubt he's a good player. The challenge for John is, he wouldn't have played in England with this type of seam movement, late swing. Curran, when he bowled in the Caribbean last year, it was pretty easy to play. He didn't get swing, he didn't get nip. He's an English bowler and he gets that late movement. So for John, that's a bit of a challenge coming out of Jamaica. He doesn't get a lot of that. So he's got to adapt very quickly in terms of how he plays. He might have to make the odd adjustment to cope with what they're throwing at him because they're going to hone in on weaknesses, aren't they? And it's his job now to come up with a solution to it.
Well, one player who has played a lot of cricket in England, indeed, he came over, was picked out by Alan Wells, the Sussex batsman, as the Bede School down in Sussex, and it's Shai Hope who came over and did his sixth form at Bede and was a prolific run scorer at Bede. Do you think that experience will help him in this series, even though he's been out of form in Test cricket?
I think massively, and just watching now how he's batting, he's gone back to his setup that was successful here at Headingley back in 2017 when he got those two, great hundreds. He's gone back to his setup there. He's confident, I think, in England. As you say, he has played here a lot. He knows exactly what you've got to do. You've got to play late. You've got to let the ball swing and then play under your eyes. You can't go after the ball. And I thought he shaped up well after the early bit of nerves this morning. I thought he looked in decent touch. He needs a good score because, as everyone's talked about, his white ball form in the last few years has really taken off and is probably in the top 5 around the world, while his red ball form, his test match form, has gone the other way. And it's that difficulty that I think Bairstow's found, the transferring from white ball to red ball. They're very different games. Butler finds it as well. If you can set up to score in white ball, but actually the way that red ball moves late and deviates, you need to be a bit tighter with your defence, and it's making those subtle changes. And I think that's where I'm glad Shai now has gone back to the setup that he had that worked here, 2 or 3 years ago.
Just to bring Annie back in on this conversation, West Indies players historically would have developed their game in the county championship and in the first class game. Next year, the counties are going to revert back to 2 overseas players, which I think is great news. Annie, how do you see that? And then I'm going to ask you, Toby, about that implications for the West Indies. Maybe some more West Indies players will get county contracts.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, being a Somerset fan, we had no better era than when we had Viv Richards and Joel Garner playing. I think it's a positive move. I really do think it is. I mean, I know there are people anxious about the fact that we're not going to have young players coming through as much. There won't be so much opportunity for them, therefore. But I've also heard the counter argument that it's fantastic to play with a really, really good overseas players as well. So, I'm all for it. I think it would be fantastic.
Toby, you've had a lot of experience in the county game here. Just changing hats for a moment. If you were involved with the likes of Middlesex, Glamorgan, Somerset, who knows? Do you think that these West Indies players would attract interest if they were available for a portion of next season?
Yeah, I think they would, and I think it would be a really good move to have the 2 overseas. I mean, I played a number of years ago, and I brought up in an era when there were 2. And if you were in the second team, wherever you went, you generally had a top-class bowler bowling against. I remember playing against Warwickshire and having Alan Donald in the second team. And I think actually the gulf then, if you then went into the first team, it wasn't that huge jump. I think what's happened in recent years, you've tended to have second teams are very young, which is great. You've got to bring young players in. But if it's too young, you then don't also have the quality of opposition. And when you do get a go in the first team, you think, well, you're suddenly hit by a steam train. There's this huge gulf in the quality. Having that other overseas player that could be a world-class fast bowler or a top batsman for guys to learn to bowl against, I think it's going to help them learn quicker, and the jump then when they do get in the first team won't be so big. And I certainly used to be that way, and I think that will happen again.
So let's give you a county. Let's give you one you haven't been involved with so far, one that's maybe going through some hard times at the moment. Nottinghamshire, Notts.
Yeah.
Who would you go for out of this West Indies team? Who would you go for?
Well, I mean, it depends what they're looking for, doesn't it? I mean, I don't know their lineup so well. I mean, I don't know whether they'd be looking at seam bowlers or whether they're looking at batters.
Let's go for a batsman.
You'd want someone. I mean, when you're talking about playing in England, you want someone who's got real sort of technique. And someone who can play the moving ball. Potentially, Ambrose potentially. Sunil Ambrose would be a good player. I mean, there are some nice players. Silva's done really well on this tour. I haven't seen enough of him, but clearly he's got runs already in these conditions in the warm-up.
Is that who you were referring to when you talked about a lot of talented batsmen waiting in the wings in this touring party? Josh De Silva would be one of those.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the couple of warm-up games they had at Old Trafford a few weeks ago, he scored his runs, and he's waiting for his opportunity. You've got Bonner there. A more attacking middle order batsman. So I think there are some quality players, and I think the point you make is a really valid one. That 20, 30 years ago, when the likes of Sir Viv came over and Clive Lloyd played at Lancashire, they then, when they then had Test series against England in England, they were used to the conditions. They knew how to bat and bowl on. They knew the lengths to bowl.
What about someone like Hetmeyer?
Oh, Hetmeyer's a fine player. I mean, without doubt, he's a fine player. Sadly, you don't see him on this tour. He didn't tour, but quality player. I personally feel better against spin than he is against seam. His game would develop from time in county cricket. He's a proper player, don't get me wrong, but I think he would become a better player from playing county cricket.
I do too.
For reasons I was saying before, the moving ball and just the challenges that are posed by being a batsman in England.
Well, I mean, Jermaine Black would be a good signing, wouldn't he? Be able to play in the one day. He'd be great in the T20 and the 50 over stuff too.
He's very versatile. I mean, you've seen him. He's a naturally attacking player. He could play all formats for you. Quick in the field. I mean, he's lightning in the field as well. Great attitude. I mean, he'd be a first class signing.
Well, Toby, thank you very much for that fascinating insight into batting at the top level and at the very bottom. We've really given
you... As bottom as you, David.
Yeah, we've really given you the full range. Yeah, I'm absolutely propping up. I'm just eking out my career. Can I do another season? So far, Wolvercote have answered that question by leaving me out of the team for this weekend in favour of a youngster. So absolutely the right decision. So I'm going to go off and play some what we call jazz hat cricket next weekend, where everyone, is more or less in my stage of the career. But Wolvercote may come back to me later on. The fact that they're not, and there's no league, no Oxfordshire League this year, so the pressure's off. You see. But they might need a bit of experience. In fact, if Nasser Hussain would say the problem with amateur cricket is too many people like me clogging up these league teams, and they should all, have youngsters in them. But thank you very much, and Annie, thank you very much for your
pleasure. Thanks, Dave.
Big effort this morning. Toby, thank you for being. It's great to have had you as part of our team throughout this test match. We've really enjoyed it, and it's been great having your insights. We're going to just go on now to a little interview I did with. The former president of West Indies Cricket Board. We're going to hear the first part of this. Dave Cameron, controversial figure, but a man who's thrown his hat into the ring to be ICC chairman. Let's have a word. Let's have a listen to what Dave Cameron had to say.
I'm delighted to be joined by